very, very strange signal, Captain. Very strange.
On screen, on the main viewer.
Captain, put him on screen.
Wow. That is... What am I looking at? Talk about a strange signal. Man, look at that.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another late night stream. Well, late night for me. I hope everyone had a great day or is starting their day early or wrapping their day up. Either way, I hope you're having a great day. Wherever you are. I know we have people watching from kind of all over. So. Hey, Suzanne, how are you doing? Good to see you in the chat. Rusty Rivers in the chat says, "Hey, how you doing, Rusty?" I just thought I'd jump on and see what everybody's doing. I looked around for other stuff to watch, but didn't really find anything to hold my attention. So I thought I'd come here and see what all you fine people are up to. Yeah, Rusty says, "Hey to Suzanne." Suzanne, of course, saying hi to Rusty. Absolutely. Love having Suzanne in the chat. She's very helpful and very, she's always very courteous to people, very kind. The kind of gal that if you don't mess with her, she won't mess with you. And trust me, you don't want her messing with you. So how was everybody's day today? Hope you all had a good day. I know I did. My day was okay. Had a little bit of a classic car show outside, right outside on Main Street today, which today of all days made absolutely no sense on Tuesday. Like literally right across the street, well, kitty corner across the street, they had like this brand new parking lot. It's not even a brand new parking lot, right? All they did was redid the parking lot that was there, and they spent like, I don't know, $1 or $2 million on it, whatever it cost to do a parking lot, and they don't do jack shit with it. So plus we got like 10 parks in this town that more than could have accommodated the damn thing. But no, they got to block off businesses on a Tuesday right downtown. Car show, awesome. Where? Yeah, it was like right outside on Main Street, right outside my apartment. So, thanks, Suzanne. Oh yeah, yep. Rusty's YouTube channel. Had a great day today. No pain at all. Oh, that's awesome, Suzanne. I'm glad to hear it. That's awesome. That is awesome. Oh, Suzanne, your town had a car show also, huh? Okay. Yeah, the one that was here, I guess they were like doing like a little tour circuit thing, going to certain cities, and they threw ours in at the last minute, which okay, but I mean it just, yeah, it Oh man, it cluster fucked everything up downtown. That's all I gotta say. People couldn't get to where they were going. You know, there's like shops and restaurants where people couldn't go. The freaking drugstore right there. You know, people trying to get their medicine. And yeah, just they picked the worst day you can do it is during the week. The only good day to do anything downtown like that is on a Sunday. Suzanne says, managed to hire someone for all my yard work. He starts this weekend. Oh, cool. Awesome. Awesome. Is that Harlan? Just, I had to ask. That's great, Suzanne. I'm glad you got somebody to do that for you. Just kind of sucks you got to, pay them out of pocket, but it is what it is, though, I guess. Last thing you need is I don't know, like, if you guys have, like, counties up there or what, but yeah, you don't need the local officials getting after you because it's not getting done. Oh, he can't manage it. Okay. No, that's cool. Hey, Matthew.
How you doing?
I'm all right, buddy.
I'm glad you got your RAM.
Yep. It came yesterday, just like you said it would.
Yeah, I was tracking it. That's how I knew when it would come.
Yep, tracking numbers are nice.
All I had to do was track it on Amazon.
Yeah.
So you're going to install it later this week, probably?
Yeah, I'm just waiting till I get, a day where I don't have to go into work.
Have you had a chance to talk to your landlord yet?
I'm working on that. He's kind of slippery to get a hold of, but once I do, I will talk.
Okay, the landlord I'm talking about in Franklin is slippery to get a hold of as well. I don't know why these Section 8 people are so hard to get a hold of. When they shouldn't be.
Yeah. Well, I know my landlord, I know he does Mishta, but which is like a part of HUD, but I'm not sure if he does Section 8 or not. That's the only thing.
What did he do? He runs a mission?
No. Mishta, Michigan. It's Michigan Housing something Development Authority.
That is basically your state's version of Section 8.
Right. They oversee Section 8, but they also have different programs.
Right.
Besides Section 8. So the thing is, I don't think my landlord actually takes Section 8. I don't think because he's got to get like qualified like through the state and all this other stuff. Because he can have like Mishta funds, just not Section 8 funds. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes regulations are weird.
Oh, they tried getting after you last year about your yard. Okay. Suzanne says, "Hey, Matthew." Oh, Mikey.
How you doing, Suzanne?
There's Mikey. There's Grilla. Hey, Grilla, how you doing? The day I was able to say no more landlords was great. Yeah, I wish I could, Suzanne. Trust me, I wish I could. Mikey says, "Hi, Suzanne."
You're on disability, right?
No, I'm not. Nope.
Or SSI?
Nope. Nikki is, but I'm not. She is because of her disease.
Does she have full-term disability or SSI because of her AIDS?
It's just SSI. She didn't qualify for regular disability because she didn't work enough during her lifetime, so she didn't qualify for regular.
How old is Nikki?
She just turned 40.
She could draw it off a parent,
Her dad died of the same thing when she was a teenager.
Oh. She could probably still qualify.
No, if anything, we gotta get.
She would get a lot of retroactive payments, but
No, she already had it until she turned 18. She had it under her dad until she turned 18, and then she was fine, and she just started coming down with the symptoms like 8 or 10 years ago.
wow. How long have we known each other? 5 or 6?
Yeah.
So let's see. 2017 is when I first got in contact with everyone. Bird, you, Salty. Poor Salty's in the hospital right now.
Oh, isn't it?
I think we're going to lose another one of the old group. He's not doing too well. If he's blogging about hospital food, you have to be crazy to actually want hospital food.
Just depends on the hospital, I guess. I was in one downstate a few years ago. They had some pretty damn good food in that. Suzanne Ricks, lol rocks, darn autocorrect.
Yeah, you're not the only one who falls victim to autocorrect, Suzanne. I fall to it all the time when I'm texting my family. It freaking annoys me too. Even when I have it set to be disabled, it re-enables itself after every freaking Android update.
There's Gorilla in the chat, and Suzanne put Gorilla's YouTube link in there. Thank you, Suzanne. You're on top of those links, girl. I tell you. Oh, Mikey, Gorilla, if you guys want to come on, you can. It's just this isn't a very political channel, though. So we're just up here to shoot the breeze, to shoot the shit type of stuff. Hey,
The
Mikey.
Brother Wade. Hey, what's my brother Jay up to?
Not much. Oh, Gorilla says he's heading to bed. Okay, no problem, bud. Maybe next time.
How are you doing, Suzanne?
I'll have to do a daytime stream maybe sometime.
Oh, and thank you, Suzanne, for posting our channel. Thank you. Yeah, got to deal with exterminators on Thursday. Damn assholes. No, they are, Matthew. Oh, and hello, by the way, sir. Hadn't seen you in a long time. No, I mean, there's this company, it's called Helix, okay? And twice they've had the same dumbass guy come in here to spray our apartment for bed bugs. And the first time he was in there for like 10 minutes, did nothing. Like he got around the bed and our bed, and that was about it. The second time, he was in here, I recognized him, and I said, okay, now listen to me, okay? Here are the places, and I pointed out every single freaking place in this damn apartment where the bed bugs hide and where they nest and all that shit. And I said, it will take you less than half an hour to go through every single spot just to hit it with your thing to make sure you kill them off. The man was in our apartment for less than 10 minutes. Came out, and then we found out he moved our mattress and got like a couple of bed bugs around that, but he didn't go anywhere else near the other places I marked to him that I told him.
That is
It's like
because
that was-
you're still technically living in the place. They would have to condemn the place because of the bed bugs.
Yeah. But this place is over 60 years old, Matt.
I know, but still, under U.S. law, once they
Well, we're in
find bed
Canada.
bugs because they are considered a severe pest, the apartment has to be condemned, and they have to do a full bug bomb of the place.
Right.
Well, yeah, he's
And they
not
cannot do that while people are living in there because the bug stuff is even deadlier than DDT.
Well,
he's-
they do. Yeah. Well, I'm in
Yeah.
Canada, sir, and but I'll just let you know the policy is that when they hey Daniel, he's also Canadian.
Danny,
But yeah, the thing that they mentioned about the Toronto Housing Authority says is that Helix has to, by law, they have to tell you how long it's going to take and what you have to do to prepare for it. And then they come in, they do their thing, supposedly, and then you got to wait like 4 hours before you can go back into your place. Now, if you have pets, like we have 2 cats, you have to wait up to 6 hours. I'm saying, forget that bullshit. I ain't waiting 6 hours, especially when you haven't done anything to our apartment except for one little tiny little spot. That's not going to cover the entire apartment. Plus, they tell you shouldn't have clutter in it. Well, we don't have clutter. No, we don't. We don't have clutter. I mean, we've got, we took out a lot of things, that had nests in them. I mean, we literally had to get rid of our mattress, bottom baseboard because it was all full of shit. So we did a lot. We got rid of a lot of stuff, and they just haven't done their job. So I'm really pissed. I'm upset. So,
I can tell.
What I've always read is if you got bed bugs, they've got to put high heat in, clear you out, put you up in a hotel or something for like a couple of days, and basically bring in the machines that have extreme high heat. Basically, if you have like I think 2 days with these high heat machines, it'll pretty much eradicate the little bastards and kill them off. But that's what spraying is not going to get it done, which I've told you, Mikey, before, right? Because we've spoken about this. Spraying,
we have talked about that.
That's like stopgap garbage.
Stopgap measure, exactly.
Well,
yes.
the thing is, you got bad management in your building, and bad management hires a third-rate, dumbass extermination company that don't know what they're really doing, and that's why you're having to put up with this BS, right? Unfortunately, like I feel your pain, man, but. They should have taken care of it the proper way the first time, and it would have been over with.
Sounds like you need to hire a lawyer. Are you the only one having issues with your apartment and bed bugs, or is the whole complex having the issue?
Oh, it's the whole complex. It's a real complicated matter, Matthew. Truly, it is.
It sounds like all the tenants in that complex have a legal way in called a class action lawsuit against the rental company for not maintaining a safe, livable space, because it is the rental company's priority to sir, there are no bed bugs, especially if you're living in Section 8 or any government housing.
Good night, Suzanne.
Well,
Take care.
Good night, Suzanne.
Night, Suzanne.
Yeah, I think what it is. I think what it is, Matthew, is the Toronto Housing Commission, which is the THC. That's what
I like those initials.
Yeah. Now the THC, when they require bed bug treatments to be done in apartments. Now this building, like I said, is just about over 60 years old, And according to the landlord, now our landlords are pieces of crap. Okay, they whoever runs this building doesn't give a shit. They're just going to be here to collect money for being a landlord, and making sure rent's paid. But but when it comes to the extermination company, the THC is supposed to do a review of different companies and find the ones that are reliable and affordable for a housing complex like this. Because this used to be for old age home. This used to be for like old age people. And then it was changed to lower income housing. That's how Suzanne was able to get it, was because she is on a low income budget. And luckily, she only had to wait a couple years to get a place in this building, which I find, crazy. But
That
anyways,
is
I'm
really
glad she did.
crazy because Section 8, no matter the state you're in, it's hard to get nowadays because
Yeah.
they're so selective.
Mhm.
I've been on my state's waiting list for 5 years already.
Yeah, that's how long she waited. She had to wait 5 years on this place. Yeah.
And I live in the Commonwealth of Virginia, where it usually takes 3 years. The only reason it's taking me longer is because I'm going through identity theft recovery, and HUD and Section 8 do not want to work with me right now because they consider me too much of a financial risk if I become a victim again.
Oh, Dan, I'm so sorry you're going through that, dude.
Which is messed up because if that happens, that's when you're going to need them the most.
Yeah.
Section 8 is based on your income. I had Section 8, like 25 years ago when my second daughter was a baby. And they literally, the apartment place sent me a check to cover part of the light bill. So we had zero rent, and plus, they sent us a check to help cover utilities. So
Yeah. What?
The other thing is, I might make the other thing they told me is I technically make over the amount that is allowed to even qualify, but because I get survivor's benefits and all that, I qualify under basic housing because I get food stamps and Medicaid. But based on how much I get a month for my survivors, which is $17.68 a month, I am over the median gap for qualification for Section 8 housing in my state.
you might be up here
Yeah,
too.
just based on what you already make, right? So they won't give you that Section 8 housing if you're over that median limit. That's true.
Especially since you're basically single, right? You don't have any, like, you don't have a girlfriend or a wife or any kids or anything. So you're just a single person household. So your income limits are a lot lower than it is for like a couple or a couple that has a kid, that type of stuff.
I still think it's, for those people, because I've seen a lot
Even
of that.
thought of applying with my estranged boyfriend, but he's in a worse financial situation.
Yeah. But I think
15 years ago, he had his identity stolen and he never pursued recovering it.
Well, the only good part about that is that it would raise your income limit. So you could possibly qualify, if he's willing to do that with you. But that's something you two got to talk about. So
I've already talked to him and his mother about it, and his mother said, I don't think Cody should be living alone or with you because my estranged boyfriend has a lot more health issues than he initially told me.
Wow. Dude, I feel for you. I do. I feel bad for you, man.
He's bipolar like me. He has autism like me, but he also has severe schizophrenia.
Oh yeah.
And let's see what else that makes it worse for me and him.
Yeah. What is Daniel, what is your wording say underneath your name there? Something about Mary Jane?
Yeah, Mary Jane is gonna fuck Flash Thompson.
Wow.
Don't worry.
Yeah,
Don't worry. For legal purposes, this stream is set to not made for kids. Okay, so I'm just.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, you can't do disclaimer. Oh my god. You know, in an alternate universe, Gwen Stacy would do the same thing to Flash, not just Mary Jane.
Yeah, Peter and Mary Jane are having problems in their marriage, I hear, and Mary
What,
Jane
in the comics?
cheat on.
In the comics?
Yeah.
Oh man.
And Mary Jane's gonna go with Flash Thompson. Is gonna sleep with Flash Thompson.
Oh wow. Well, then they're gonna have to do a Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland and Zendaya, who are supposed to be a couple in real life. And if Zendaya's gonna go after Flash,
Oh yeah, now I remember what else my estranged boyfriend had.
yeah.
Damn, now it escaped me again.
I don't think they're gonna do that in the movie because Tom Holland, Peter Parker, and Zendaya aren't married. They're not married. They're years away from that, decades even.
Yeah, well, I mean, they are dating though, right?
Oh yeah, now I remember.
Yeah.
So,
To finish what I was saying,
I think Secret Wars is going to be Tom Holland's final movie as Spider-Man because he's going to retire. He's going to retire in 2027 or 2028. I mean, think about it. Think about it. Tom Holland is already going to retire, and he's like what, in his 20s?
I thought he was in his early 30s, but I could be wrong.
I'm like, the guy's already retiring. What? This is so stupid.
Yeah,
actors make too much damn money.
Yeah.
They're only retiring because they do not want to pay the luxury taxes they have to pay right now. Because the longer you're in the acting field, the more you pay. And I finally remembered what my estranged boyfriend had. It's Down syndrome. That's another reason his mother doesn't want him moving out of their house.
That's understandable.
Because he's afraid I will take advantage of him financially and in the bed. I'm not that kind of person. I've even tried convincing her to let me move into their basement bedroom because they have one free bedroom in their basement and I would take over all the cooking. I know that his mother hates to cook and I enjoy it more than you would think. But they've had former tenants in their house who've stolen a flat screen TV and sold it to get cocaine before. So they do not want me because they think I do the same thing. Even though they both his mother and his stepfather know my all my ailments and You know, I've never done anything. They're trying to prevent me from
Hey, Jim.
maybe.
Oh, Jim's here. Hey, Jim. How you
Yeah,
doing, bud?
and we did welcome PvP, right? Yeah, when he came in earlier. Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
welcome
Oh, oh.
BVP, just in case
Yeah.
you didn't.
No, hi guy. I'm here. Mike, you will understand what I'm saying. I'm trying to research a game for Gorilla that I used to play with people like Cardinal Sin a few years ago. It was one you had to pay a little bit of money for, but I don't think it was overly expensive. And it was basically a trivia kind of game where the game would put out a statement or a question. And the contestants, I think they allow 6 people in the panel to play each round. And once you got on the panel, the game would give you some weird, usually sarcastic question, but because it was kind of a comedy game, right?
Talk about the Jackbox Party Pack.
Jackbox, thank you, Sci-Fi. I'll give you. You're getting a virtual hug right now. You're getting a virtual hug, buddy.
Hey, it's okay. I've actually got the starter pack on Steam. So,
And by the way, it's a manly, masculine hug. Just put it out there for everybody. In case you guys are thinking, I'm a masculine man. I So
Hey, PvP, I didn't think you could stretch that far from Vancouver.
well, you know what? When it's a manly hug, we can stretch pretty far.
I didn't want to, because I don't want to, assume, what Sci-Fi likes. So I just wanted to say it's a manly hug for Sci-Fi.
Matthew, we got you on there twice.
Thank you so much. That you made my day. You made my day, buddy. You made my day.
Yeah, thank you.
Seriously
That is weird.
Yeah, is that weird? Oh, there we go.
Oops, I kicked the wrong one. My bad.
Oh, by the way, in answer. Oh, we just.
Everybody's
Well,
getting.
I took the other Matthew out because I wasn't sure which one because.
Oh God.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, in answer.
By
to
the way,
Daniel's question-
by the way, I hope he wasn't offended by me saying a manly hug.
No.
Matthew doesn't get offended.
Okay.
No,
Good.
Matthew's cool. Hey, welcome back, Matthew.
And I've even tried explaining to my case manager here at the shelter that I technically don't qualify for any of the reach out programs the Commonwealth has for people with low income.
Right.
On top of that, since I'm a victim of identity theft, the state has actually told me they have frozen all my
benefits
applications that relate to housing and stuff until I have my identity recovered. They actually told me that over the phone with my case manager here, and she says, I don't care. You still have to be out by a certain time. I'm like, woman, your boss heard what Richmond just said, and legally you're bound to obey Richmond. In my case.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to probably, when I leave here, put in a complaint on my case manager because her bigotry is pissing me off.
I'm sorry, but the complaint department is closed and not taking your request at this time.
You know what she says to me? She actually had said to me, because you're a white guy, I'll let you find your own housing. And I'm like, can't you help me, woman? And she's African American.
Oh, so she's being racist. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, this is what I she sounds like she's one of those woke people that thinks
she's near 70 years old. I don't think she's woke.
Well,
no, but she's still
she might as
racist
well
here.
be, because to me, To me, it's like the people that are woke think reverse racism against white people is cool because they're going, oh, all you white people are racist and you hate black people, so we're just going to hate you back. And it's like, no, I've never been a racist. I've had friends of all.
Yeah.
I've had
had-
Asian friends. I've had black friends. I've had Native friends. I've had all kinds of friends. You know why they were
Me
friends?
too.
Because they were cool
here.
people. Because they were cool, awesome people. Not about their race. Nothing to do with race. And when they make it about, I feel really bad for you, man. Like, that's not right. She should not be in a position of power over people if she is that prejudiced. If she's that prejudiced,
Yes.
she
The
should be
worst
gone.
thing is not me only complaining to her bosses this, and apparently they've been going back over the records with her.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a
Yeah.
lot of complaints from former residents who are also white that she basically won't help them, but she will help a
He's
black brother out and
right.
get housing while she leaves us white folk
Yeah,
struggling to keep our
oh.
heads above water, basically.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
basically shafting you, Matthew. So what you need to do is file your complaint, add it to the complaints that they already have against
I already
her.
have. I've filed 5 complaints on her, and they still
Well,
keep her.
Keep doing it.
You know,
Stand up for yourself, and yeah.
How many times have I heard that folks of color, to use the correct terminology nowadays, I believe,
Mhm.
complain that the system is prejudiced, that the system is geared against them and in favor of white folks.
Dude, that's
Now-
just like PvP. That's just like the black guys around town, right? Oh, I gotta watch it. There goes that cop. I'm black.
Well, that's like what
no,
that's what-
listen.
yeah.
I'm like, dude, in this town, it don't fucking matter. All they see is you hanging around downtown. They think you're poor. They're gonna drag your ass down, drag your ass in, whatever you want to do. It don't matter if you're white, Indian, Mexican. In this town, it don't fucking matter. So
I have friends from all over the world, too.
I just
Well,
wanted
we
to-
have the same
I just-
issue
I-
with
I-
Middle Eastern people that are in charge of
I
things.
just wanted to, reply to Matthew's comments.
Yeah.
It seems like racism. People have always complained about systematic racism amongst the white community and white governments or whatnot, right? We hear that all the time. It's like, oh, you white folks, your white social government structure is racist. Well, here we have an example of the opposite of that, where it's like the government structure working with this woman is racist against white people. It would appear to my naive mind anyway, from what I've heard, right?
Have you ever heard of the Union Mission Ministries out of Norfolk, Virginia?
No,
That's
I'm
where
not-
I'm residing.
I'm in Canada, so I have not heard of that, Matthew.
yeah, we have one.
Anyway, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
why is one form of racism? If white people are being racist systematically in society, in government, in bureaucracy, why is that bad? But why is it good when the opposite is true? That a woman like her can be racist against white people,
Yeah,
and get away with it over and over again with hundreds of complaints filed, formal complaints too, and they still keep her job.
Right.
I didn't even want this to get political because I know sci-fi didn't want it to, but here we are. Anyway, I'll shut up now. I'll shut up now and let you talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, by the way, in answer
And
to Dan's
I
question,
made 5 formal complaints, 1 informal, but the last formal complaint, her boss was actually sitting in her office when she actually said the very same words I've been telling them in the complaint she says to me. And
Right.
his mouth literally dropped open. And he said, Mr. Kirchner, can you please step out of here while I sue your case manager out for inappropriate conduct? Because You have to have some damn gall to do it in front of your fucking boss.
Yeah, that's her boss. Yeah, oh, she's gone, man. No, she's gone. She'll be gone.
Nope, they kept
She
her.
isn't already. Yeah. Well, if she isn't already, she should be gone, Matt. Yeah.
She should be, but this organization gets a lot of private donors, so they keep her. She's
There we
like
go
the
again.
public face of the organization.
Because okay, tell me something. Is her case manager a white man or a white woman or a black woman? What is she?
A black woman,
A black woman. See, and what will happen is I hope it
75
doesn't
years
happen.
old too.
Okay.
That
My
is systematic racism. That is
It is.
exactly what it is.
And that is exactly what it is, Matt. And she's probably gonna. Okay, she'll give her a minor slap on the wrist, and she'll say, "No, because if I fire you, then I become a racist, and I get berated, and all this other stuff."
Oh, you
So
can't
the
fire.
point of this
You
is
can't
it's
fire.
gonna-
You can't fire a black person because you just can't, right? These days,
because then you'll become a racist.
because then you're racist. Yeah, even if you're black,
Hello,
you're black racist.
The place I live in is run by all blacks. There's
Oh, then
not a
you're-
white guy in the
Oh.
whole skew.
Matt,
Just,
you need to start a revolution, dude. You need to do something. Yeah.
Well, yeah, revolutions occasionally work, like in France when they overthrew the king and chopped
You know
his
what I
head
mean?
off.
He needs to start a movement with all the other white friends that he has.
I think if you could start a peaceful revolution, a movement, a coming together, a social gathering of like-minded
protest.
people.
A protest
But protest in an organized, constructive
in an
way,
organized
sort of
manner,
thing,
of course.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
the
in
other
answer
thing
to
is,
your
I don't
question,
want to
Daniel,
protest. It's going to risk me getting kicked out of here, too. So I'm
Right.
on a double-edged sword.
Technically,
well,
yes, but I think
that's
you can
very
handle
true.
it, Matt. I think you can be able to do something about it.
No, I think Matthew's got a point there, Mikey, though, because here what's
The
been
laws are
happening.
different in this country, in the USA, than they are in Canada, Mike. I bet there are more protections for the homeless up there than they do down here.
Not so much. We got a lot of tent cities too, actually, Matthew.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
it's
do
not.
have some
It's
people that
not
are
good.
still homeless.
I mean,
it's
now
not
they
good.
they do have guaranteed health care, but that's about it.
They do
We've
have
got-
guaranteed health care. That's true.
Okay. We have national health. Well, it's weird. It's national health care, but every province administrates it differently than every other province, right?
And runs it differently, yes.
Runs it differently, yes. And the thing is, if you can get a doctor, you're good. You're gold, right? If you go to, I found my regular doctor I have now 2 years ago. Before that, though, I didn't have a doctor for a decade. So I had to go to get my high blood pressure meds to the local, emergency triage center 3 blocks away. And I sometimes sat there 4 hours in a waiting room full of sick people just to get a couple of refills to my pills, right?
Yeah.
Now that's not a functioning healthcare system. I mean, it didn't cost me. Well, I still had to pay for the pills though, but
yeah,
overall, it's a good system. Like, my mother had multiple surgeries and never paid a penny for them, right?
Right.
So it works. When it works great. When it doesn't work because of backlogs, like a lot of people if you don't have a doctor, you're kind of screwed. Thank God I got a really great doctor 2 years ago, and she's a wonderful, wonderful lady. But seriously, there are issues. I mean, it's generally a good concept, but it's like anything else. It's not perfect, right? I just wanted to let everybody know.
No, but
And
the
Daniel,
nice,
did you-
the
Problem
nice
with
thing is
Universal health care, don't y'all have to pay higher taxes? Like 20% or something like that? Flat rate?
Okay, let's put it this way. I'm a senior. I go to the local community services. because they're wonderful. I went there 6 years ago and took a job upgrading 55 plus program for 3 months. Made a lot of good friends there. Sat in the class for 7 hours a day. We had a wonderful time. Actually, learned a lot. We had 3 ladies instructing us on various things like writing resumes and learning how to use the typewriter and all kinds of shit. Really good stuff. I go there every year to get my taxes done because it's free for seniors, right? Free for seniors. So when I went there this year, the wonderful lady did my taxes, and then she informed me, it's like, oh, you're a few $1,000s over the limit, because they usually have a cutoff point around 20,000, right? And I was like, oh shit. And she says, I can still file it for you online though. Don't worry about it. And I said, please do. She did. Great lady. But the outcome was the previous year when I was under the limit, I got an $800 refund from Revenue Canada. This April, I had to pay $1,100 to Revenue Canada because I was like $3,000 over the limit. So they do, take money, but if
I have a question for both you and Danny.
I made 23 grand, and I don't mind paying $1,100. Like I'm not starving. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I have a personal question to both you and Danny. Born Canadians or immigrants to Canada?
Okay, Daniel is a native Canada. My wife is a native of Canada. I believe PvP. You're a native of Canada, right? BC?
I was born in Canada, but my mother was an immigrant because she was actually born in England in 1924. When she was 5 years old, she came over to Canada with her parents in a ship because that's what people did in the 20s. They came over in boats. There was no airlines going back and forth that time.
Matthew, I'm the only immigrant that came over from the United States. I've been here now for 8 years.
As Gorilla loves to say, you're a transplant.
So you're basically a naturalized Canadian citizen then.
I'm an actual citizen from birth.
Yeah. PvP and Daniel are both actual
I have my birth certificate.
I'm a transplant who's turned into a maple leaf with maple syrup.
You've got landed immigrant though, do you not, Mikey?
I am an. You know what they gave me?
You all Canadians say A, or is that a stereotype?
That is okay. That's a mixture of truth and stereotype. When I was a kid, A was a very common phrase. When I was young, you would hear A all the time. Now in 2025, you don't hear it that much anymore. Because it just has become one of those expressions, phrases that has kind of burned itself out over the years. I think that remember when Mike Myers did that comedy movie? What was the one? Come on, Mikey, help me out. You know the one, Mike Myers, where they were saying A, playing Queen song.
You mean
Wayne's World?
Wayne's World. Wayne's World. I actually like the Saturday night skits better than the movie.
Excellent, awesome.
That's what fucked up A for Canadians because he was saying A, and everybody that watched it here, we got so self-conscious of saying A, we didn't do it anymore. Thank you, Mike Myers.
Hey, at least you haven't gotten self-conscious about saying sorry.
Yeah.
Another question. Do all Canadians say sorry all the time?
We say a lot of sorries all the time.
All the time, but let's put it this way: if I'm wheeling my grocery cart and I accidentally bang my grocery cart into some woman's backside, of course I'm going to say, "Oh, sorry."
Banging the grocery cart, guys must be desperate.
No, good one, Jim. Good one. Total misinterpretation, but good one.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if people are walking in a store and they bump each other down the aisle accidentally, of course they say sorry.
Yeah.
That's just a normal response, right? If you bump into some stranger, I would say sorry. I think most people would say sorry. I don't know. I mean, it's better than fuck you, right? You know. So,
Actually, it depends on the situation, PvP.
well, I haven't
Matthew,
bumped into anybody really rude yet, so you know.
Yeah. Now, Matthew, I was just recently was trying to get an ID for the city, and before I can do that, I have to renew my American passport. Then I have to try to get a Canadian passport. Then they're going to go ahead and decide, should I go ahead and get, will I be able to get a city ID, which would entitle me to other benefits. Now, currently,
Are you a dual citizen?
what?
No, he's
Are
not.
you a dual citizen?
No. I was going to explain myself there, Matt. I am an undocumented immigrant, but because I am married to my beautiful wife Suzanne, who is Native Canadian and is a documented citizen of the current city we live in, I do qualify for all the health benefits, but I don't qualify for what they call OHIP, which is a Ontario health thing. So I have to have an OHIP card, but to get an OHIP card, you have to get a city ID card. So I have a lot of work ahead of me, and I've been trying. I've been trying 4 years during the pandemic years, I call it, and still haven't gotten anywhere with anybody. So
You get U.S. Social Security, don't you?
I will have Social Security, but not until I turn 67.
You gotta wait till 67.
Yeah, I have to wait till I'm 67.
Jeez, we can apply at 65 here.
Yeah, well, mine was just moved up by 2 years before. So yeah, I have to wait till her age.
He can apply when he's, depending on his birth year, he can either apply when he's 62 or 65 for early benefits. But I think one of the requirements is you must still retain your U.S. citizenship to be entitled to your Social Security benefits.
Correct. And
I'm pretty sure Canada does not offer dual citizenship, so you would have to choose to either give.
I beg to differ on that because I have family that's dual citizens.
That is very incorrect because a lot of I'll use the rock.
My cousin's a dual citizen right now. So.
Neil Young moved out of Canada in the 60s to go and form Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young and have a famous career in Los Angeles, being a big rock star. He still has dual citizenship. William Shatner, born in Montreal, Canada, he still has dual citizenship. Yeah. It's a common thing amongst people. A lot of people have dual citizenship.
It happens. Both my parents even said to me, Mike, you should get dual citizenship. I hope to plan on doing that, and I'll get that done soon. There is a cost to that, though.
It costs I'm sorry. It wouldn't be a bad con. So I just want to say, Mikey, I spent 3 weeks in Ontario once looking around at real estate, and I did go to Ontario Services because they had an office. I went in there and I looked into the bureaucracy. I was not impressed. It was very multi-layered. It was very confusing. The people were snarky and very unhelpful. I was like, may a plague of locusts rain on your house tonight, is the way I felt after I walked out.
Oh, no. That's what you got to tell them because
they were not helpful. Well, I realized after 3 weeks, I got in the plane and got the fuck out of there and came back to beautiful British Columbia, the most beautiful place in Canada. Anyway. Enough of the tourism ad. But, I found it very disappointing that the services they offered to people in your province kind of seemed, half-assed, pardon my French, right? But I was disappointed. And I don't envy the struggle you're going through right now trying to clear this up because, you need a provincial health card and a city card. Am I getting this right or am I confused here?
No, you need both.
That's right there. That's screwed because here in BC, if I got my driver's license, I apply it the same. I apply the same in motor vehicles. I get my driver's license and my health care card at the same office. I renewed it back in May. I had both cards, took it in, applied, got them in the mail in like 11 days, both of them, my driver's license and my medical card in 11 days in the mail. No fuss, no muss. And since I'm a senior now, I only paid $15 for the whole thing.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, see, with the bureaucracy.
BC streamlines it really well, Mikey. Like, I have big criticisms about our government, but that service is not one of them. They do it very, very, very well. I have to commend them for that.
I have a question to all of y'all.
Matt, as I was going to say here, the bureaucracy, which you're talking about here in Toronto, specifically in Ontario, is correct. The cost, see, we live on a limited budget. We're on a disability budget because both of us, we have type 2 diabetes. She has fibromyalgia, so she can no longer work. And I have issues, health issues, so I can no longer work. And we live on that one budget each month. And not only that, but if I want to go ahead and renew my passport, and then I'm supposed to be obligated to get Canadian passport, so I have dual citizenship. That's $170 for each passport. Plus, if you want to get your city ID, that's $35. So I'm just looking with all the taxes, about $400. And we're barely living as we are now. I'm not going to say how much we make a month, but we're barely.
Do they have like food stamps in Canada?
No, we don't have food stamps here.
No, we don't have food stamps, sir. But my parents used to live on food stamps back in the day.
Have any of y'all ever heard of the YouTube artist called Habitual Line Crosser?
Nope.
No.
He actually called Canada the successful war criminal.
What?
What?
Is that?
You know, a lot of the Geneva Convention codes are called being written into international war law. It's because of Canada.
Yeah.
There's one famous one where a Canadian troops during World War One actually threw food into a trench of the Germans just to get the Germans to pop their heads up. And then they massacred them.
Oh, that's a fucking old ancient story. Yeah, probably you've heard that story, right, Mikey? I know I have.
I have, yeah.
Well, I heard this story about Archduke Ferdinand getting assassinated.
Well, the thing is, remember World War One, I believe, was well before the Geneva Convention was ever even thought about. So back in World War One, it was okay. Let me speak. You just dissed my country and said we're all war criminals. I have to respond. Okay, trying to be respectful, but I respect the same out of you. The Germans didn't actually play nice either. They slaughtered a lot of people. They massacred civilians in both wars. Let's face it. They did something unquestionable to 6 million people of the Jewish religion. And I'm not going to go into details because I'm trying not to be political, but I'm getting dragged into it, I guess. Sorry, Sci-Fi.
You got to answer what you got to answer.
I got to answer because I got to defend my country. And Canada used to be a great country until we had the last 10 years of this corrupt liberal government. But I'm not going to go into that right now. I'm going to answer the question directly. The Germans played dirty too. The Canadians in the trenches, there is that well-known story where they did the famous story I've heard is the Germans were begging for food, so the Canadians tossed apples to the German trench, which is only like 25 feet away, because that's how nasty and close hand-to-hand combat was in World War I. By the way, my grandfather, who is British, fought in the trenches in France, and he survived, and he did not describe it in a nice way. He moved from Europe out to BC here, as far away as he could get from Europe because of his experiences. Probably watched many of his friends get their heads blown off or whatever. Not a pretty thing. Anyway, back to my main story. And then after the Germans would call for more, the Canadians would throw in hand grenades. And it was nasty, but you don't actually win a war by shaking hands, kissing cheeks, and being friends. You win a war by killing the enemy. And that's exactly what the Canadian troops were there to do. And that's exactly what they did amongst the British, the French, other allies. And that's why we beat the Germans, not only in the First War, but in the Second War. And if the Germans...
But what I'm saying,
if
I'm
the
not trying to
Germans,
dis-
if the Germans hadn't attacked us in the first place, those wars didn't need to happen. Anyway, I've said my piece.
I think,
Daniel, are you still there?
yeah. I was just gonna say we need to leave that one to rest. So don't bring that.
I never wanted to start it.
No. I'm talking to Matthew. So
Okay.
Daniel,
Yeah.
I was I've been trying to mention for the last half hour, but it's in the chat there. Tom Holland just turned 29 on June 1st, so he's 29 years old. He's yeah.
He's retiring at 29.
Actors are having a lot of burnout these days.
It's so psycho.
Okay. If I'm still working in my 60s, why is the guy in his 20s retiring? Come on.
I
now.
know, right? I mean, there are people in their 70s who are still working.
There's people working until they die, Dan. You know, it's like, come on. Yeah, I get you. I absolutely 100% agree with you, Dan. It's crazy, man. He shouldn't be retiring at his age.
Do any of y'all remember Zib Zab?
There are some people who are 80 and they're still working.
I'd like to know
exactly.
I'd like to know who's 80 years old and still working, though.
Yeah, and there are people who are dying on the streets because they can't work because they have mental and physical disabilities.
Well, you know what? One problem is, I remember back decades ago, they used to have, public institutions where the mentally ill could go to these places, and get help, right? You know, I mean, now and then they said, oh, well, that's taken away from their freedom, so they started closing down these hospitals, and it's like, oh, well, we got to set them free on the streets, and it's like, well, isn't that humanitarian beauty? Because they're setting mentally ill, dysfunctional people that can't cope with their life, can't even function as a regular person like we do, and put them out in the mean streets, because the mean streets are the mean streets. Put them out there and let them fend for themselves, and that'll make society a better place. Well, I got to say, in the early 80s, when the panhandlers became a plague in my country, and the panhandlers are everywhere now, and some of them are not friendly, and some of them are not nice, and they get in your face, and it's like, well, thank you, government. Government's saving a few million here and there, and you know what? They're downloading the suffering onto the rest of the citizens.
they shut down a lot of the institutions here because, at least in the U.S., the institutions
they did here too. They did
they were just warehousing them, and 9 times out of 10, the conditions inside these institutions were so appalling, just so terrible, and the patients were being abused nonstop. That's why it changed in the U.S. But they did start what's known as basically like at-home therapy, where we have group homes where a lot of them are now, you know, like 4 to 10 people in a house with people that work on 3 shifts, you know, as caregivers, and basically, you know, just overseeing them in their day-to-day lives.
So it's like a care home kind of situation, is what you're saying, Sci-Fi?
Right. It just depends on like the level of care that they need. Like some people need help having their food prepared. They need to have the soft type food. Others are, high functioning. They can go and get a job. Like we have a place here in town that employs specifically mentally challenged and the mentally ill and the handicapped.
Well, and Jay, the other thing I found out too is that a majority of those people that are homeless are not there by choice. A lot of them lost their jobs, which is true, which is what Daniel said. But also, a lot of them have no family. They are loners. They are by themselves. They've got no family to go to.
Yes,
if they did have a family, I'm just saying, if they did have a family, most of them would never go back to them because they would not be accepted. So,
the family wouldn't accept them. Unfortunately, there are some people, developmentally disabled or mentally handicapped people
Like me.
that don't find their way into a group home. They wind up on the streets, then they wind up in prison because there's no other place for them. So
because there's no other
place. So the prison system is turning into the new mental institutions here.
This is why I disagree with these policies. I can understand maybe there was some well-meaning political thought originally back like in the 80s, I think, when they started to shut it down here. But we used to have, like in Vancouver, there used to be a major, mental hospital for the mentally, unwell, for ill people to go to get help. Such they had psychiatrists, they had nurses, they had doctors. I think generally it had a good reputation as trying to help people that were, in distress and try to make their lives better, right? Because I have a personal anecdote from that institution, because I was in art school back then, and I had a friend, and every summer he made a living. When he was not at art college, he would do house painting, right? And the mental institution called him one day and said, "Can you come out and paint some rooms for us?" And he was like, "Of course I can. I'm happy to do that community service." So he went out there with his van, and he was, unpacking his paint cans and all the paraphernalia, brushes, rollers, whatever. I mean, I'm not a paint expert, but he was unpacking his cans of paint, and he turned around, and one of the inmates, she had, opened a can of paint somehow, and she was drinking the paint.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, God.
She was drinking the can of paint. And I was like, okay, people like this poor lady definitely need guidance. They definitely need help, because they are out there on another planet somewhere that I do not fathom. I'm sorry, but I don't get it, right? And, I just remember my friend telling me it was one of the strangest things that ever happened in his life, because, of course, he took the can away from her immediately, but she probably drank half a gallon of paint by then.
Oh.
And it was like, oh my God, I can't believe, but this is what he told me, right? So
yeah, and a lot of the homeless too, which I'm finding out, are basically shown to like they're a piece of trash, like they're disregarded immediately.
Well,
like they're like a disease. They're like
I have something to say on that. Okay, well, first of all, we had one of those mental places here in town. It was actually a good one, but because of the changing laws, it closed down. I think they only take like really, really severe cases, if any, if they even have any at all, not these days. But and as far as the homeless go, we have homeless here in town. I've met quite a few very nice homeless people. I've even helped them out, with money, food. I let one guy come up, take a shower, change his clothes, just to help him out. But then we have other ones that are complete fucking assholes that you just want to boot stomp as soon as they open up their mouth. So.
Yeah.
Well,
or they use your money for alcohol and stuff.
Right, and I know which ones those are, because I work at the store right here where they all go to.
That's
so
why
who those people are. Yes.
I just never give money to homeless anymore, because okay, let's put it this way. 40 years ago, I was the most generous person. I would help anybody. I helped friends, move at college. and well, so-called friends, because they said they'd buy me lunch and they never did, right? Because they fucked off with a friend and never heard from them again. So even friends can screw you over, right? But strangers, I've had too many times where it's just been, it's like, no, this is not a good scene. I just, and I don't want to give money to people because I know a lot of the times they're going to use it to buy a substance, right, of some sort. And I can't subsidize. And the thing is, there are outreaches. There is community services like I went to. There is the Salvation Army. There are places that will give you a lunch or or food.
We have a soup kitchen here.
Yeah.
It's open 6 days a week for breakfast.
Yeah, there are people.
And since they're not open on Sundays, they give away tickets to a restaurant half a block from where I live, where they can go get a free lunch on Sundays.
Yeah, so, there are facilities that will feed people. Nobody needs to starve. Nobody needs to starve. I don't believe that. You have outlets. You have help if you ask for it. That's the key, right?
You have to want to ask for the help. Yes,
and we have shelters. We have shelters in the community here. But the thing I've heard when I've listened to shelter workers, they will say even on a cold night in the winter, some people refuse to come indoors because
they don't want to get sober, or they don't want to quit being high,
or they're claustrophobic, or they're very claustrophobic, and they're so used to living outdoors. That's the only way they know how to live anymore. Sci-fi.
You know what's so sad is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the shelter here, 9 times out of 10, and I've heard this from the homeless people. If they don't go, it's because they like to have their drinks at night, or they like to have their weed or whatever. Even though weed's legal, you still can't be high when you go in there. So,
right.
That's
short of forcing them. I mean, and you don't want to force them. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Short of putting a gun to their head and telling them, "Hey, you better walk in here or else." Short of that, yeah, you don't want to force them.
You're going to do that, you might as well just take them to the county jail. So.
Well, any entity can set up a rule, right? I mean, that's not uncommon in our world. But dictating to democratic citizens should not be a rule of thumb, right?
I understand the rule about not having alcohol or being under its effects. When you sign in for the night, or being high, right? Because that's going to disrupt the rest of the shelter, right?
I was trying to agree with that actually. Maybe I was misinterpreted, but
Matthew, where are you from?
It's incredibly complex.
Hold on, I'm in Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk, okay. Are you a former Navy veteran?
No.
Okay, because I was wondering, because Norfolk, yard there is also there for the Navy. So I thought maybe you were a naval midshipman or something before.
Nope.
He needs to find him one though.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, let me ask Matt. Matt, what is in regards to homelessness? What is their policy? What is Virginia's policy on homelessness? Just the basic state policy or whatever their issue is.
They really don't have a policy. And Virginia kind of leaves it up to the victim of homelessness to reach out to organizations like the Union Mission, the Salvation Army, etc.
Yeah.
But most people are too lazy to do that.
Right. Yeah, but you still do have a place to live, my friend, correct? Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
On top of that, where I am, the Union Mission, legally they can't say I pay rent because then I take it off the homeless shelter list.
Right.
Because of the legally I would be considered rehomed. at that point.
Rehomed, yeah. Yeah. Well, they can't. You know the reason. You do know the reason they can't do that for you because again, we mentioned this earlier. It's the issue of going over your limit of what you're limited to, and if you go over that, then they can suspend your payment or whatever you get a month or whatever else you receive. So, yeah, I understand. I do. I understand that. But you see, the problem is that most of these centers, this is the one thing I really hate, and I know I've seen it a lot lately. A lot of them just treat it just like a business. Now, granted, it is a business to help the less fortunate. It is. It's called a business. That's what it is. But the thing is that the business itself is corrupt. It's not helping people. It's just helping either for them to grow a conscience, or it's hurting people more than helping.
Yeah,
So
the
that's
ones that,
unfortunate.
yeah, you're right, Mikey. The ones that help their own pocketbooks instead of helping the people, those are the problem places that really need to be investigated. Like we live in a
where I am, they actually do good at helping people. Just if you have certain case managers, it works out the opposite way.
Yeah, but it's still it's still unfortunate that you know charities that were considered at one time charities are now just considered another business expense or a business tax write-off or a deduction or whatever, but not really in the business of helping people generally. Okay, that's that's not just here in Canada; it's in the United States. It's all over.
There should be a rule. They really need to amend this rule. The less people these charities help, the more they should get taxed.
Yes. You know what? That's a good idea. Yes, I would agree with that.
If you're not using that money to help people, then you ought to pay it in taxes.
Yeah.
That'll cut down the corruption quicker than shit.
Yeah. Or just say you're not. Just say that's bullshit. That you're not for profit. Fuck that.
You're not for profit. You're not spending nothing on the people you're supposed to help. So how the hell are you not for profit?
Well, it's like in Canada. I think it's probably in Washington too. We have a so-called charity reselling company, like a thrift store called Value Village.
We have a few of those. We have Salvation Army. We have what's that other one?
We have a Value Village.
The thing is, Salvation Army is church based, right? Like
Salvation Army is more church. Yeah,
ours is church based too.
Value Village is not. They pretend to be a
non-profit, right?
And if you ever have gone to their webpage, Mikey. Scroll down to the bottom of the Value Village page. It says, "We are not a non-for-profit company."
Right.
It said they stated right there, right? Very
right there.
minuscule print, though. You didn't a microscope to read it, right? Because of my eyes.
That's just like Goodwill Industries. It's the same way here.
It's like Badwill.
Yeah, literally, it should be called Badwill because they'll take these people into group homes and legally hire them for like 50 cents an hour.
Yeah,
that's awful.
Instead of paying them minimum wage. Yeah.
Well, the thing is here with Value Village, they pretend to be a thrift store.
Hey, I worked with Goodwill Industries down here in Virginia in 2011 before I was determined unemployable.
Right.
And they actually treated. We made like $7.50 an hour.
Well, you're
so
lucky then.
They gave you a basic income, huh? Per hour income.
Is $7.50 a basic income in the United States? Wow, that is still
the federal. No, that's still the federal minimum wage.
Oh,
no, that's gone up.
Yeah,
it's $12.50 now.
Okay, maybe it went up to $12.50. Last I knew, the federal minimum wage was $7.50. Now, states on their own can go above that, but the federal minimum, at last I knew, is only $7.50. So
My boss pays me $19 an hour.
Yeah. I can look up the
You
federal.
guys are getting a bit shortchanged, it seems to me.
Okay. According to the information I looked up, it says here the federal minimum wage for 2025 is $17.75 per hour as of April 1st, 2025.
Jesus.
That was a
When the-
2.4% increase.
When the hell did that happen?
That is low. That is really low.
Yeah, 17.75.
That's not great.
Yeah.
Damn.
Now,
so
if
y'all
we're
on that
looking
nice-
up,
When you
Yeah, now,
factor in the cost of living and everything's going up with inflation, I feel sorry for anybody trying to survive on minimum wage.
yeah, it says right here also in Canada, it says the federal minimum wage in Canada will see a 45-cent increase after April 1st of this year, bringing it up to $17.75 per hour from its current rate of $17.30.
And my boss has paid me $19 for 3 years now, Mikey, because
you're getting better than the minimum wage. Though.
I've got a beautiful boss. She is a princess. She's a queen. I love her to death. Yeah.
Well, there you go. So you're lucky to have the wage that you're making there, Peter.
Well, the thing is, she took us out to lunch again at Christmas last December, right? Like, I have got a great boss. So, but hey, work for a small company. If you can work for a smaller company with a good boss, that's what I would try to do. Just a little bit of advice.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm still here at this shelter is because they're a Christian organization that is based around the church.
Mm-hmm. Which is fine. That's good because if they're able to keep you going, that's good. That's a good thing. Then
technically, either next month or November, I'm supposed to be out of here, but I'm not so sure my new landlord will have the place ready.
Yeah.
To live in. Because in the house, they're going to be converting to a apartment upstairs and downstairs. The kitchen, you can literally kick your foot through the subfloor.
Yeah.
Rot.
It's still
severe rot.
Okay, so what you looked up, Jay, right? It says it started at 725, but it says right incrementally raises the federal minimum to $17 an hour by 2030. Well, it has already been raised. It's up there now. So
that might have been for Canada.
No, that's U.S.
That's U.S. That's for the U.S. right there. So yeah.
In 2025,
I know a lot of states are going to fight against that because the states are greedy.
Well, yeah, the states. Well, if you think about it, the states take their own. They take their own percentage, right? By law, they get their own, the state taxes part of it. They get that. The federal gets theirs. Everybody gets their piece of the pie, but it always seems like the less fortunate and the ones that are maybe have a smaller type job or maybe have no job at all and live just on benefits get the shaft and they get the less of anything. So, yeah.
Well, I know I get my paycheck emailed to me every 2 weeks, and I'm always paying tax, a federal tax, and I pay the workers' comp and whatever I pay into. Yeah. There's always deductions. And then every time, if I spend $1 at a store, there's a GST tax. There's the provincial tax. And it's adds up to $7. If I spend $1, I'm going to have 7 cents taken off of that in taxes. And it's fuck. Can't you rich people leave us alone at once?
Yeah, right.
Get rid of these damn.
What's your minimum there in Michigan, Jay? Does it say $10.58?
Yeah.
What's the minimum in Virginia?
Hold on now. Michigan basic $10.56 an hour. Hold on. State law excludes from coverage any employment that is subject to the Federal Fair Labor Standard Act unless the state wage rate is higher than the federal rate. Michigan minimum wage is scheduled to increase to $12.48 per hour as of February 21st of 2025. So we're already higher than the federal standard. So
Right. And Gorilla's at 11. Well, he's higher than 11 something because he's a quality control guy.
Gorilla works his ass off. Like, he should get way more money for what he does than if they're paying him that. They're getting a bargain.
Yeah.
I
Virginia.
remember Gorilla talked about how sore his
12:40.
shoulders were working an 8-hour shift
Yeah.
doing grinding shit or something. Like, holy fuck.
So what does it say for Virginia there, Jay?
$12.41 an hour.
Wow.
Adjusted manually or annually based on a set formula. So it changes from year to year in Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does change year to year here as well, actually.
Yeah.
I'm glad Michigan's not like that. Once they set it, that's what it's at until they raise it again.
And it's still pretty basic, though. I mean,
that's still 12 something an hour, 10 something, 12 something. That ain't enough to live on. That's
surviving on a minimum wage. I'm glad my boss is generous and pays me more. Because I gotta say, even though she pays me more than she has to, it's by the time I pay rent and food and groceries and gasoline, I ain't fucking rich at the end of the month. I'll tell you guys that right now. I'm scraping by. I'm a month-to-month man. Hey, we need a song. A month-to-month man. Hey, Gorilla should do that one.
I'm a
right, Mikey?
month-to-month person too.
Yeah, we should do that song. Month-to-month. Hand-to-mouth, month-to-mouth.
Yeah, April 28th of this year, federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. So.
It says. Yeah, well, it says here. I was just checking for Arizona where I was last, and they said Arizona's state minimum wage rate is $14.35 an hour, and that's greater than the federal minimum wage of $7.25, and you are entitled to be paid the higher state minimum wage.
Federal contractors.
And it says here that after this year, they're raising that by another 35 cents. So workers at the bottom of the pay scale, after the first of this year, January, they were supposed to go up to a new level of $14.70. So, yeah. So just back in my state, I was actually, when I left, I was making, and this was, like I said, when I left Arizona, this was 8 years ago, I was actually making what now is their minimum wage. I was making that already. I was making over $15 an hour 8 years ago. So they've really been behind as far as increasing their rate.
Okay, Mikey, whose ass were you kicking to make that kind of money?
I was working hard. I was a full level cashier.
You must have had a good employer though to pay you that money.
I really did have some good. Yeah, I did have good managers and yes, I did. I had some good people.
Yeah. It's always good when you got, money is one thing, but when you got a good boss that treats you right, that's worth just as much as a wage in a way, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or you could do like my landlord when I worked for him, right?
Yeah. Right.
I made $100 and some a week. I got paid cash at the end of every day. I had Sundays off, but I lived in one of his units, rent free, utility free. All I had to worry about was putting food in my house, and I had food stamps. Right. So there you go.
You could be paid under the table too, because I remember at one time, I won't say his name, but I worked for a friend of mine, and I was a band member of his band that he created, and I did make a little less than minimum wage, but I made something, because I was a performer, and that was under the table. It was also in a bar that I was working for a friend of mine. just on the side. So I was getting paid under the table for that. So that was something you didn't have to pay taxes on because it was too little. It was too small what I was making, bonus wise, as a DJ is what I did for my friends. So, yeah. So, I mean, I was just, I was making more money, obviously, for the full-time job I was doing with the store, with Safeway, as opposed to, on the side, working as a DJ, once or twice a week. And I was making, less than bare minimum. But that way, I didn't have to claim taxes on it. And that was fine. It was just bonus money for me. Sometimes I get free food. I get free drinks. Not bad. I mean, that's a good deal for me.
Night, guys.
Night, Matt.
Good night. Have a good night.
Good night, Matt.
Night.
Good to meet you, sir. Take care. God bless.
Yeah, there's something to be said for rent free. That definitely helps the pocketbook. I gotta say, sci-fi.
Yeah, I mean, it was 50 some hours a week, but you know what? It really, it's not like it was physical labor. I was running his hardware store. And
Yeah.
I was taking rent money from all the renters every month.
Yeah.
I was paying the light bill and the gas bills on all the rental units with his credit card that I kept in my wallet. So
Right.
I was
Yeah.
ordering stuff for the store. So I was basically, you could call me store manager and
Sure.
rental manager all at the same
Rental
time,
manager.
basically. So,
Yeah, sure.
Right.
yeah.
So, I mean,
And it means for, hey, rent free, a place to live with a roof over my head, and I still got food in my belly and a little bit of cash at the end of every day. Okay, sounded good to me.
sounds good to you.
Well, my current rent, because it keeps going up. Good thing is the BC government limits it to 3.5% increase a year, right? Because that's just
Yeah.
what they do. But my rent now is like around $557 a month. It's inching closer to that grand. I'm sure it will be in a few years if I'm still breathing. But it's like the rent. Not having to pay rent can definitely make a big difference in your life.
I've been paying it for the last 4 years, 5 years. What year did I stop working hardware? Almost 5 years since I stopped running his hardware store. He's closed it down since, but
Oh shit!
so I'm paying. Now hold on. Okay, Nikki gets her $943 a month or whatever, $973 a month in SSI, right?
Right.
Okay, our $650 rent comes out of that off rip. So thank God we don't pay utilities. That's
So
included.
your rent's lower than mine because I gotta pay electricity.
That's what we pay. What they want to get for this apartment is actually about $250 more a month.
Oh, okay, I'm going to shock you now, sci-fi. If I've been grandfathered because I've been here for over 10 years now, right? So I get the lower rate. I started with the lower rent from 10 years ago, and they just jack it up in little tiny increments, like a really bad sex worker that doesn't really know how to get you off. She jacks you a little bit, but she can't do it. I've gone through three. I'm on my third management company. Get this, guys. Third management company in 10 years. Anyway, this last one is not that bad. But, if I wasn't grandfathered, you know how much my apartment would cost a young couple moving in today? It would be double. It would be like probably $1,700.
Unfortunately, that's the norm pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, that's the norm. That's why I'm so glad I'm grandfathered. Because if I had to pay that, I'd be one of those homeless people out in the street, right? So if I pretty much.
I would too if it wasn't for me paying less than market value for this apartment. We'd be. Well, my mom wouldn't let me be homeless, but basically, we wouldn't be able to afford a place on our own.
Exactly.
If it wasn't for the fact that I've known him for over a decade, ran his hardware store, the fact that I work for his sisters, and at their
Yeah.
store in the building
Yeah.
that he owns, right? Under the
Yeah.
table, making cash money at the end of every night. He
That's
knows
right.
he knows I'd be effed, but he's not that kind of guy. He trusts me. That's why he doesn't charge me as much as his wife probably wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, and Suzanne and I mean, without saying how much we make, a month with our disability pay, check we get, which is substantial. I think it's substantial. It's enough that we can both afford, to live where we live. But since we're in what they call this like a bachelor type apartment, so it's not really a 1-bedroom. But I left the 1-bedroom that the two of us were sharing back in Arizona. And when I realized they were going to double our rent, I mean, I was paying less than $900 a month. I was working 2 jobs, and she had her disability payments included. So, that's basically like 3 incomes. And then they were going to double the rent. Not only that on a 1-bedroom, but then they said to me, and I quote them, I say, you are going to have to work 3 or more jobs. You're going to have to make income, which is the equivalent to 3 or more jobs per month, just to afford the apartment, the very same place that I was living in. So, Suzanne saved my life. She took me from Arizona, moved here to Canada, to the apartment she was still renting, that she still has. We paid less than $150 a month. All of our utilities are included. So despite the bed bugs and all that shit, we actually live in a pretty good place. And, since we both have our own kind of disabilities we go through. So, yeah, it's not a bad deal, actually.
Well, yeah, it sounds like a really good deal. I mean, besides what you're dealing with, obviously, but I mean,
well, it's a really good deal. But
For
the
100
fact is saying that it took her 5 years to get to this point.
I mean, $150 a month. I haven't heard of that since I was a kid in the '80s. That's what my mom and dad paid for the trailer I grew up in. So
You're very lucky to have a subsidized unit, even
Yes.
though the bed bugs is bullshit.
Yeah. Well, when you look at when you look at the overall, like, okay, bed bugs, yeah, they're a real problem. But if you look past that and you see, and believe me, I'm very lucky. Like I said, I'm an undocumented immigrant, but because I'm married to a beautiful wife, and she and I can share the disability payment without me having to do a single thing, that's a blessing. So,
Well, what you described, what you were facing earlier, having to work. Okay, well, there's 24 hours in a solar day.
I had to work 2 jobs, so I basically
No,
worked.
but you said that you'd have to work 3 jobs.
Yeah, right. I'd have to work 3 jobs.
Okay,
Basically, I'd have to work
let's do the math. Let's do the math, Mikey. 24 hours, 8 hours for any kind. You got it. If I don't get 8 hours, I'm going to be real bitchy, right? So let's subtract 24 minus 8. What's that? I'm bad at math.
Well, if you work 3 jobs, you have to work an average of 8 hours per job in a 24-hour solar day.
You can't do that.
I know.
It's mathematically impossible.
I know, but that is what they were asking for. They were asking for the equivalent. Well, basically, okay, if I still worked my 2 jobs, well, that would mean that Suzanne, who can no longer work because of her medical maladies, would have to work a 3rd job on top of it. So, yeah.
I got one. Did you ask any of these assholes? Hey, how's your experience been working 3 jobs a day?
And
I bet a dollar.
I
bet a dollar. They just shut the fuck up and didn't say a word, right?
Nope, they wouldn't say a word. That's exactly right.
Yeah. I think the source problem of all of these guys is we have terrible government. We have dysfunctional government. Maybe I'll rephrase that. I mean, I'm not trying to criticize Trump. I don't even want to get into that shit going on south of the border right now because that's too fucked up. But here in Canada, stupid people just reelected the worst government we've ever had for another 4 years after 10 years of absolute dumpster fire bullshit, and we're still stuck with them. And I think all of these things that go down to the provincial and municipal level start with a lot of the national BS of really bad politics. And anyway, I won't add much to that, but man, there's a lot of bad shit going on.
Let's put it this way: we had the Three Stooges in charge of all of our idiots in government.
Well, the thing is, I've heard Mark Carney's coming up for a non-confidence vote soon.
Well, that'll be nice if that happens.
Well, the thing is, I don't know if it's true because I've seen a lot of YouTube videos, but I've kind of stopped watching the political ones because, you know, there'll be some of them will say this, and then there'll be the other half that say the opposite. And I'm like, well, this is all agenda based, right? You know, left wing or right wing. And I can't be bothered because I know I'm not getting facts, right?
Yeah.
You know,
I want to ask Daniel. Daniel, are you, my friend, are you still trying to get your own place? You did mention that to me previous, but I don't know if you're still
I'm trying to get my own place, but there's certain things I gotta do. Like I gotta provide like for example, among many other things, I have to provide my health card number and my bank statement. They need my health card number to diagnose to find out if I have autism, you know, and I think I was diagnosed with autism. I know I have ADD. I was diagnosed with severe ADD, and I remember when I was a kid, they did say that one half of my brain is working, and the other half is not. So
wow, that's weird.
Wow, that's weird. That is weird. Yeah.
And so I have to provide a few things. What I'm afraid of is that if I give my health card number, and then they go into my medical file, they might who knows what they're gonna find, and you know what if they don't, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, so if you give, let me understand this, okay? And please don't be offended if I say something wrong. I'll apologize immediately. What I'm trying to understand is if you provide your health status, right, your health card, and you give that to anyone that you're wanting to, you know, if you want to go into a complex, you know, to live somewhere, and you provide your health background, your medical background, and all that, you think you're going to be rejected every time if you go to a place like that?
I don't
know.
of
lower income housing?
I'm just worried. I don't trust people anymore. You know, I mean, how do I know they won't go?
Hey, granted, Suzanne and I trust each other, and that's it. We trust our cats.
Yeah.
But we don't trust very many people. No, that's not wrong. But what I'm saying is that is there an opportunity for you, even if you have to provide your healthcare information, is there an opportunity for you to get a place, even if it is low income?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there is a possibility. Yeah, and I am on a waiting list. I am on a waiting list.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, brother, if that possibility is available, you need to exploit it. You need to take advantage of it. Really do. I mean that sincerely. I'm just trying to I'm trying to give you my experience because I was diagnosed with Asperger's, I guess they call it Asperger's syndrome.
Asperger's syndrome. That's correct.
Yeah, Asperger's syndrome at one time, and I still have that.
I think I had a friend once with that, but I can't. It's so long ago, I forget. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, I don't remember if I have ADD, but I think I do have.
It's a form of autism, I think, isn't it? It's a mild form of autism.
If you want to know about it, I can let you know. My daughter has it.
Yeah, but I don't think Daniel's autistic. Come on.
No, but it's not generally a bad thing. Like the person I knew that had it was basically, he was like Data, right? He was fully functional in every way.
Well, we know that Daniel.
I just told my sex joke for the day.
We don't need to. we don't need to make light of that. Come on. No, Daniel, really, honestly,
God.
I'm telling you, my brother, based on experience, please pursue the option if you can find a decent, outside of your range. Because I know you're isolated. I know Bellwood. I've seen where it is. I know where it's located. You're in a very isolated area, and I get that. What I would say though is, if there is a way you can get close enough to town here in Toronto, in the area, or in any of the outlying suburbs, try to get a lower income housing place there, because I know they'll accept you. I know they'll take you, dude.
Yeah, I need a low income housing. I'm talking to my social worker like every Tuesday or Wednesday whenever he comes, and I really gotta get something. But what I'm worried of is if I provide my health card number, and then the lady goes into my file, she might.
Right.
I mean, you never know. People are crazy. They might say, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with you," and then they're going to kick me off completely.
No. You don't understand. What I'm trying to say is that the social worker that you work with can help you find affordable housing with your budget and whatever you make, and in your medical background history really shouldn't matter. If that's a capable and a comparable social worker, he or she, whoever it is, they should be able to provide you that. That's what I'm saying. You should try to pursue that option. That's all I'm saying.
No, definitely, of course, because I can't live here anymore. It's just too turbulent.
And it's going to drive you nuts, and if it hasn't already, and it's probably
I'm not gonna mention who it is, but I'm gonna say there's someone I'm living with, and she's screaming and crying every single fucking day and terrorizing the house and making my life miserable for something that happened to her in 1971.
Okay. Well,
anybody who is so traumatized after 50 years is the person you want to get the fuck away from as fast.
You want to distance yourself so far from that person.
You
don't even want to be a part of that.
I've known people that lost somebody 50 years ago, and they grieved and fucked up and bitched and moaned and cried and screamed till the last day they died. And you know what? The last fucking 30 or 40 years of their life were hell. And you know why it was? Because they decided to make it that way.
It's like Morgan Freeman said in the Shawshank Redemption. You either get busy living or you get busy dying. And the people that act like that, well, they're getting busy dying instead of living. So.
Exactly. Well, I've known people like that, sadly, sci-fi. And I am not one. Well, I just turned 67 a few weeks ago, and I am close to death, maybe 10, 20 years away. I don't fucking know. Could come any day now, but you know what? I ain't gonna cry or moan because I love talking to you guys right now because I am fully alive. Isn't that as this old bastard is still alive? And by the way, I gotta talk to Dan. Okay, Dan. There's something really. You're in Ontario, right? There's this health card bullshit in Ontario. There's multi-layers of government there. Yeah. See, we just have one health card level provincial. We don't have the city crap that you guys seem to have. So yeah, if you've got some kind of qualifications, shall I put it politely, that would allow you to get subsidized housing, I would say, well, you got to go for it, right? Because if you don't go for it, you're not going to get nothing, right?
Yeah.
So you just got to give it a go, give it a try, and just let everybody know how it turns out, right? Because it's like you just have to try. If you don't try, it's like if you don't try, you're going to fail, right? Automatically.
I was in line to get an apartment back in 2019. This apartment was so awesome. It was like a portable. It was beautiful. I checked inside. I was allowed. Okay, the person inside the house was allowed to have pets. It was pet friendly.
Right.
It's very hard to find an apartment that's pet friendly. And
Oh,
so
absolutely.
This apartment was beautiful. It was a portable, nobody upstairs, nobody downstairs. It was a portable, detached from everything. And it was like $700 a month, all utilities included. So
That's
hydro,
fucking,
electricity.
that's good. That's very good.
Yeah,
Dan.
that's a good
that
price.
was.
Yeah.
So, and then
What happened? So what happened?
You know what? On the day, on the day I had to
Yeah.
sign up for that apartment. Guess what
Yeah.
happened? Guess what
What?
happened?
What?
The car broke down.
Oh shit!
Oh fuck!
Damn, dude.
Yeah,
Oh.
the car broke down, and it didn't get fixed until like 4:30 p.m. And when I got
Right.
there, it was already too late. Other people
Shit.
Wow.
signed up for the apartment, and
It
one
took it.
person got it.
I guess you couldn't have taken a cab or a bus.
No, I live in the country. There, out here in Bellwood, Ontario, there are no cabs.
Yeah, there's there. He is isolated. PvP.
That
I
is
see the map of where he is. He's not exactly around the bend. He's
that is seriously so sad though. When you could have changed your life and just random. That's one thing I've learned though. Random circumcision.
Circumcision?
Not circumcision. Well, that happened. Luckily, my doctor was great, and he didn't believe in that, and I still got my foreskin. But I'm just going to say, random circumstances can really fuck your life around, can they not?
Yeah.
Like they can throw you for a loop. And
I mean,
very
did the
sorry
car
to hear that, Dan.
Did the car have to break down on the day I had to sign up for the apartment? Oh, I hate that.
That is that's very fucked up. I gotta say, yes, I agree.
I do love the fact that we have a new PvP quote. Random circumcisions are bad for your health.
Yeah, you guys can quote me anytime you want to. Gorilla always Gorilla clips is short every time when I say something crazy like that. So, but yeah, I feel so bad for Daniel. It's like, damn, the man was so close to having something good, and then I can understand if I fuck up, I take responsibility, right? If I fall down, I'm a fucking moron. I'm a fool. I take responsibility. If I can't make 2 and 2 equal 4, and I think it's 6 or 7, I'm a moron, right? I take responsibility. But Daniel did everything right. He was there. He was going to go and get the apartment for $700. And his car dies, and his car's like, no, sorry, Dan. It's like Hell 9000. It's like, sorry, Dan, I can't. Sorry, I can't let you in the ship. Okay, that's a bad 2001 thing, but
or it's that ever-present what do they call it? The hourglass, not the hourglass, the magnifying glass. That's you're an ant, and the magnifying glass is on your ass. It's burning you alive.
Oh,
That's
I'm sure,
kind of a metaphor there too.
I'm sure Mark Carney considers me to be an ant-like life form.
If we could throw Matt Carney, Doug Ford, and Donald Trump card and Vance into a blender, it'd probably turn out to be the ugliest mother freaking soup you've ever seen.
I wasn't going to say anything, but somehow you read my mind right there.
Oh God! Oh, that's not a bad thing.
I'm not a person that promotes deletion of leaders. I'm just not that kind of person. I don't like Trump. I don't like Carney.
Yeah,
I don't like any of the. I think all the people you mentioned are basically they're making very bad political decisions the last few months and really doing a lot of harm in our world.
Okay,
but I don't want to go into politics because I know sci-fi.
No, and I'm not trying to either, Jay. That. But what I'm trying to state is that it really, all of the blame can't be put on just the people that are in charge right now. It's also the blame is on the people who voted them there in the first place. What were they thinking? Obviously,
they-
they weren't
they-
on a brain thing.
They don't. The ones that voted them in don't care that they're on. I don't know, man.
What would
It's
you call them? Like
brainwashed.
Brainwashed. There you go.
Well. The problem why liberals won the election a few weeks ago. The Conservative Party had a huge landslide. They were probably going to get a landslide majority a couple months ago from the polls.
Right.
And then Donald, my favorite Donald, well, I actually like Donald Duck more, but Donald Duck, is my favorite Donald, but I'll give, Donald Trump, I'll give him a secondary. He decided to open up his big mouth and call Canada the 51st state. You know what happened as soon as he said that?
Oh, we all panicked.
More Canadian morons all across Canada, the morons of Canada, they were probably going to vote maybe liberal. And I think they might have voted conservative. But as soon as Trump is going, we're going to annex you. We're going to take you over, blah, 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 blah. That pissed off millions of Canadian voters. And guess what? They decided to vote for a god-awfully crap Liberal Party because we had 10 years of shit. Let's vote for another 10 years of shit and corruption. Why not? Because Donald Boyd scared us, and we're all frightened little reactionaries. And I'll never forget that one video. Remember that video, Mikey? We had Mike Myers and Carney with their hockey jerseys on, going elbows up.
Yeah.
Fuck me. I will never watch another Mike. I've never watched a lot of his films, and I never will. I made the decision. I am boycotting Mike Myers until I die. I am done with that fucker. Never going to watch him. I'm sorry. I would love to watch his spy spoofs, but I just don't give a shit anymore. I hate that fucking, well, just like Neil Young. Neil Young posted, did you realize this, Mikey? Neil Young on Facebook posted like 4 paragraphs loving Carney.
Oh,
loving the liberals. He's like, Carney's the great man. Carney's the man. Carney's the man. He'll be the great premier in history. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, Jesus Christ, Neil, you smoked way too many drugs over the years, my buddy.
I think he sold out.
Oh, fuck, did he sell out? Well, he's like Bruce Springsteen. I used to love Springsteen. Working man songs I listened to all my life, right?
Yeah.
When the E Street Band toured like a year or two ago, I looked up concert tickets in Vancouver because I actually thought of going. $8,000 for a fucking seat.
Yeah.
Hell no.
It's like fuck that shit.
That.
And that's my working man hero charging $8,000 to listen to him sing about the working man. It's like, hey Bruce, if you gave a flying fuck about the working man, you wouldn't be charging $8,000 for me to watch you sing about it, you bastard.
Yeah, you'd be charging like $8, not $8,000.
Yeah, right.
Oh God!
I told you guys, in all the times, all the different concerts I went to attend, the most I ever paid was $170. This was after taxes, and it was because it was fucking Sting. Because Sting is my favorite singer, goddammit, and I wanted to go see him, so I did. And I wasn't ashamed. And it was the whole Police thing. It was a whole reunion. I didn't care, but that was the only exception. I've never paid more than $50, I think, for a concert ticket in my entire life. And I got to actually sing with 2 bands for free. So, that says something.
The thing is, I understand inflation, right? I understand that $1 in 1970 is inflated to a $2025.
Yeah.
If Gorilla was here, I'm sure he'd jump on that comment and he'd go, oh, let me do it. Let me do the math. Because, Gorilla does that all the time, right? But, I'm sure $1 in 1970 is maybe worth $20 today. I don't fucking know. Anyway, I remember I saw fabulous bands back in the 70s because, the weird thing was, what's crazy is back in the 1970s, my home, okay, nobody's going to give a fuck about this anyway because they won't track us. My hometown was Vernon, British Columbia when I was a teenager in the 1970s. We got some of the greatest bands, mostly Canadian bands, but really great, like top level acts. I remember we got April Wine touring 3 times in a row, and bands would generally tour in the summer, right? So I saw April Wine 3 times. Guess how much I paid for a fucking ticket to see them live?
How much did you pay?
$3.
Damn. $3?
$3
Wow.
fucking dollars. And they
Yeah,
were one of
no.
the greatest concerts I ever saw, Mikey.
Yeah. Now listen to this. I just looked this up because you just said Gorilla like looks up things and shit. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, it says here that $170 in 2007, which is when I went to the concert, the reunion, it's equivalent in purchasing power to about $262.20 today. That's an increase of $92 and some odd change over 18 years.
But what would have been in 1986 when they broke up?
In 1986,
If you saw
when
the
I went to-
Synchronicity tour.
Yeah, well, the Synchronicity tour, they actually broke up officially in 1984. And then 2 years later, they did the song. And they did the song.
Okay.
And then there was, like I said, there was 21 years between when they did the song in 86 and when they came back in their reunion at Vancouver in 2007.
I'm just thinking what Gorilla would do from 1984 to the present day. That's all.
Oh, okay. Well, so if you paid $100, all right. Well, I know I didn't pay $100. I paid way less than that.
Oh,
I wish I could
I'm sure
remember.
back in '84 the tickets would have been even for a classic band, they would have been cheap, right?
They've been okay. You know what? I would say because I was a freshman in college and I had just started out. I believe the senior that was was going to be my mentor for freshman year at ASU. I know he paid. Let's see. Okay, let's see how much. Because I could go by an average. Let's see here. What was a concert? Let's see here. What was a concert?
The thing is, my point is, concerts back in the 70s and 80s, any teenager with a modest income could easily afford to go to the concert, right?
You're right.
Nobody had to pay $200, $300, $400, $1,000 to fucking go to a concert back then.
Yeah. So say like the average price. Let's see here. So I'm asking, what was a concert ticket average price in 1983 in the USA? Okay. So the average concert ticket price was around $15.13 for a basic.
Is that proving my point right there?
Yeah.
I mean, and we're talking about not like some bar band. We're talking about name bands, right, Mikey?
We're talking about we're talking about 3 major bands back then.
Yeah. So if I'm saying, I mean, it's I'm an old. Okay, get off my lawn, kids. I'm gonna bitch. I am a grumpy old man. I admit it. But
are you gonna be like Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino? I hope not.
I'm gonna be like Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven after I drink.
Okay.
I'm just giving you fuckers a warning. I might get my guns out. Get my guns out and blow everybody away. But anyway. But yeah, Mikey, the thing was like back then, young people with a bit of pocket change could buy a ticket and go see their favorite bands they loved, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how rich 20-year-olds are nowadays, but how many 20-year-olds nowadays have $500 in their pocket to go see their favorite band.
Not very
I
many.
know. And when you're
Yeah,
saying,
not very many. You know,
No.
you guys are getting my point, right?
oh, yes.
There's something very fucking fucked up on it's the greed scale. The greed
Oh,
scale.
did you just
right?
hear what my wife, guys? Did you just hear what my wife said? When Elton
I
John,
didn't.
Sir Elton John came here to Toronto, the average cost of a ticket, the lowest price was $3,000.
Yeah, that's why.
$3,000.
Well, I remember Aerosmith toured in Kelowna here
Yeah.
about 3 years ago, and their bottom price, I think, was like around $1,500 for a ticket.
That's still ridiculous.
And you know what? Well, you know what I said about that. You know, I haven't even liked Aerosmith. I love them in the 70s, early 70s.
They were
You know,
okay in
the
the
last album that they put out, which I thought was incredibly good, was Rocks.
70s.
Remember Rocks around 1975, 76? They
Wow.
were fucking amazing in the 70s. And you know,
Oh, yeah,
then they went wimp. So remember when they went wimpy?
I do.
Love in an elevator, love in
Oh,
an
God.
elevator. I'm gonna
please.
fuck an alligator. I need to change it into a purse. You know, I'm getting silly, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah, I
Aerosmith
know.
sucked after a while. And they're going like, you want me to give all this money? I'm like, fuck off. I don't need to see. Well, the thing is, you know what I'm betting? They would have played probably they would have played 5 or 6 of their classics, and then they would have spent the rest of the show playing garbage. How much you want to bet? Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, talk about bad concerts.
Yeah.
I have a legendary story to tell you if you want to hear it. I adored Cheap Trick. Like, did you guys love Cheap Trick when they first started?
You want to know what my favorite Cheap Trick song is? Actually, the
Uh,
Dream Police.
Dream Police is a great album too.
I like the song. I don't know why. You
Dream
know,
Police in my head, in my bed, whatever. Great, but the thing is, I
my
love
God.
them. I love them from their first album, right when they first started. A couple years before that, Mikey. But
Right.
I've got all their albums. I love them to death. I think they're really well. I love, like so many bands. I think I love the first 4 or 5 up till Dream Police, and after that, I kind of, it's like you too. I love the early stuff, and then after a while they started to kind of suck. Right?
Right.
They got mediocre.
You did after a while. They did. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I love their early shit, and they were really good, but you know, they toured. They came to Kelowna too, and once again, they wanted to get like hundreds of dollars for a ticket,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm sorry, boys, I just can't pay $300 or $400 to have like a back seat in the back of the arena. I ain't gonna do that. I just, it's like do they not understand they're insulting their lifelong fans by doing that?
Yeah. I mean, well, you know, let's see, what was it back in 2012, which is why, you know, we're still talking about 13 years ago. But one of the last concerts I got to see was Van Halen. But you know, you didn't have Michael Anthony. You know, you had Eddie Van Halen's kid. You know, Wolfie. You know, Wolfgang. You still had Alex. Yeah, you still had Alex. You still had Eddie, and then you had David Lee Roth. And you know, I think I paid less than $80 for the concert, which I thought was totally worth it because
I would have paid $80 back then to see David. Was he any good though, or did he suck?
He was
at that
great.
point?
No, he was great. I mean,
Yeah.
Kool and the Gang opened for him, which was weird, a weird kind of coincidence because back in the day when Van Halen had Michael Anthony and the other three, and they weren't really that good yet, but it was funny because they opened for Kool and the Gang, and Kool and the Gang had all their people in place, right? Everybody was still alive. But when I went to see them in
They
2000,
opened.
they opened
yeah.
for them, and when I went to see
Cool,
them,
Cool and the
there's
Gang.
only the two brothers that were left. Everybody else was dead or buried or gone.
No, sir, I'm trying to clear. I'm having a brain fog.
That's okay.
They opened for Cool and the Gang.
Back in the day, back in the early 80s. Yeah.
Okay,
That's right, PvP. They were celebrating good times.
So I as much as I love that song, but how does Van Halen and Cool and the Gang match up on a double bill?
They
On a
don't.
double bill? They did.
Okay, I'm gonna say let's do oh shit, give me Black Sabbath and the Village People. How's that sound?
You know, Ozzy would make a show out of that, and it would work.
He would definitely make a show.
I actually saw Black Sabbath on their 2012 whatever it was supposed to be their last tour like 12 years ago when I saw them. They were fucking awesome. I gotta say, Ozzy was incredible for a guy his age. That little bastard was running back and forth through like almost 2 hours, back and forth across the stage, belting out every vocal, engaging with the fans, waving his hands around like a madman. God damn, he was great. I say, Ozzy, man, he was great. But that's 12 years ago. It's probably
Did he cut a chicken's head off or a bat's head off or whatever?
He cut a bat head off. Yeah.
But that was earlier in his career, right?
Oh,
that was
in
1970 or something. He bit the head off a bat. Well, the thing was, Mikey, a fan threw a dead bat on the stage, from what I've read, and Ozzy being he was probably fucking hammered over his fucking tree. And he probably thought, well, actually I've read he thought it was a rubber bat.
Yeah, he thought it was a rubber toy. And then Suzanne just said he bit the head off and realized it was real.
And then he bit the head off of a real bat. Yeah.
I know. It was funny as hell.
But the funny thing is that made him a fucking legend, did it not?
Yeah, it did. Well,
it did. It made him a
weird way, but yeah.
You look at how many people actually heard of or listened to Black Sabbath until that happened, and then look at the numbers after that. Yeah.
The thing is, you look at any page on the internet about Black Sabbath, any decent page is going to mention Ozzy's biting the head off a bat. They always do, right?
Definitely, yeah. Well, at one time, this is the funniest thing about my cousin about Alice Cooper. At one time, when he started his glam thing and he started dressing up and everything, people thought he was deaf, that he was like playing death. And I'm like, no, this is just for entertainment. He's got all this stuff, and then he talks about only women bleed and all this other stuff. And I'm like,
I don't remember Alice.
All right, it's
Alice. I don't remember Alice going glam. I really don't.
I don't either. Well, I remember him making fun of Poison for being glam when they came out.
Oh yeah, Poison, right? The band Poison. Yeah.
Okay. Here, I am the fucking expert here on Alice Cooper.
Okay.
You guys can all bow down before me and give me kudos.
Well,
put temples to me and light candles to me, because I'm going to educate you on the Alice Cooper band.
Dude, I don't even do that for women. You know how much you're asking for?
I'm asking for a lot, and I don't fucking care because I love the Alice Cooper band. Okay, we're going to start. We're going to go right back to the beginning. Just like when your father had his testicles swimming around before he impregnated your mama. Okay. We're right back to the start. Hey, if you thought this was going to be sex joke free, you don't know me. Okay. First album, Pretties for You. Have any of you guys ever heard Pretties for You?
I probably haven't because I really caught on to him after the second album.
You can't understand Alice Cooper's evolution if you haven't listened to that 1969.
Well, come on, I was
Bizarre-
only 4 years old. How would I be able to understand his
Well, you're
music
not
back
3 years
then?
old anymore. So, by the
I
way,
understand, but I'm using that as my crutch because I was only 4 freaking years old. Now, when Kiss came about, my mom said that it stood for Knights in Satan's Service, and I
Oh,
was like, well, if that means anything, but I mean, I still like their Rock and Roll All Night and shit. I mean, I love all their music. So I guess I was going against my strict, dad who's Roman Catholic, my mom who was Protestant before she married my dad. I mean, yeah, maybe that was my rebellion back then. I don't know.
I thought this was about rock and roll with Alice Cooper.
It is, but also,
But
Kiss
now
were
it's
rock and roll
about
back then.
religion and
Oh no, it's not about religion. It's just about the kind of bands that we follow.
I'm actually going to keep this within a couple of minutes if I can.
I was going to say,
Go for it,
PvP, it's
PvP.
almost like having a conversation about video games in the 90s. You can't do it without bringing up church and how bad they are for kids. So.
Yeah, well, I'm one of these people that I often get into religion because other people force me into it when they bring it up. I don't generally discuss religion because that's another trigger thing I avoid. I'm not adverse to it. If some stream is like totally demanding I talk politics or religion and going, you asshole, talk about politics and religion. That's like, oh shit.
No, let's be clear on this here, okay? Those are two subjects I'd rather avoid on this channel.
Me too.
Is religion and politics, because people can be the best of friends, but you bring those two subjects up and watch how fast they try to tear each other's heads off. I'm just
the lucky thing, my friends are all kind of a similar thought on those things, and we don't generally fight. So
yeah,
but I don't want I don't want to do that in the stream.
Okay,
right. That's just two subjects I'd rather not bring up. Actually, I want to hear PvP's Alice Cooper stories.
Yeah,
I'd
but
love,
I want that. Oh, okay. Well, I
want to talk about Alice Cooper because
I was going to ask you. So, when did $1 Billion Babies come out? Because that was the first time I was immersed with it.
Jesus. Can you give me a moment to get there?
Okay. I'm just saying that's when I was first immersed with it. With that.
Well, you came in very late. You came in very late.
I did because well, you are 7 years older than me, so.
I'm almost as old as the pyramids. Don't fuck me over. Come on.
Oh my god.
Anyhow,
my
starting point is Alice Cooper. Anybody sci-fi? You want to put any visuals up here? I don't. You probably can't do that, but some streams do.
Oh, Alice Cooper's picture?
Yeah, if you get a picture of the albums, that'd be fucking awesome.
Oh, what's the name of the album, bud?
Pretties for You from 1969.
Pretties.
It's spelled Pretties. Pretties.
Yeah, it's Pretties. This was like pretty girls,
no, but I was just spelling it for
pretty girls with short dresses, and they're taking their panties off, and we're all happy.
I understand. And I was right. He was born in Detroit, Michigan.
Just like Iggy Pop.
Yes.
Just think what Detroit has offered over the years to rock and roll history, Mikey.
Oh, I know. But
we got an Iggy Pop Stooges stream, Mikey.
Yeah. Well, this is what I basically know about my cousin. That he was born in Detroit, Michigan. Eventually, he moved to Arizona,
and he was the father of a minister.
Central. Well, let me finish. He attended a Central High School. He was part of a band called the Spiders. before he really got into rock. And it was a local band. And one of the places that I used to watch, Wallace and Ladmo, he would be on that Wallace and Ladmo show in the like the mid 50s, early 60s. And that show lasted for 35 years, from 1954 to 1989. So
okay, I think with these pictures we should get back to the albums,
yeah, go ahead.
if you don't mind. Thank
Yeah.
you. That's really wow. Sci-fi is doing a great job here.
Yeah.
Because I used to have this album until I sold off my record collection years ago.
Right.
But I don't. You guys, I'm guessing none of you have ever heard this, right?
No,
No.
honestly, I told you I never heard of Pretties for You.
It is. Well, the thing is, Alice Cooper became a powerhouse a couple albums later. This is so fucking bizarre. Well, okay. The thing that Frank Zappa signed them to his label for this album should be a giveaway, right?
Was that Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention?
Yes, it's the real Frank Zappa with the mustache. Yes.
Yeah.
And you know why he signed them, Mikey? He walked in. Well, they were totally unknown and playing shit. Their concerts were like 100 people. And Frank happened to walk into one of their concerts. And as soon as they started playing the first song, after a couple minutes, everybody fucking cleared out and left, right? And they were playing to an empty building. And it's like, okay, Frank Zappa thought, if any band can empty a fucking room of all the paying customers in 5 minutes, they must have something going for them. And
there must be something up with that. Yeah.
He signed them to his label. I still think that's one of the funniest things I ever. But apparently, Frank Zappa actually signed up for that reason, because they really suck. They suck. They were horrible. I don't want to commit torture on any of you, but listen. You got to listen to this first album to really understand the evolution of Alice Cooper. But oh my God, it's really bad. These boys cannot play an instrument to save their lives. They couldn't play an instrument to pay their taxes. It's really, but it's horrible in a good way, right? Because it's so, well, it's like Spock's brain. Like, right, Star Trek, it's so bad. You got to have fun with it, right? Because that's what you do.
I'm glad you said that episode and not that hippie one.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
fuck
did you notice?
Fuck those hippies. I hate those hippies.
Yeah. Did you guys notice that he is 77 years old?
He is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And has everybody seen their latest video, A Wild One?
Oh yeah. I told you. You showed me.
Fucking great.
And I love Black Mamba. I love that song.
I think they got the July 25th release of the album, and it's going to be the first CD I bought in years, but I'm going to buy it. Fuck it. Anyway, enough on this shit. This album is really bad.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next album. Easy Action was the next one.
All right.
And actually, Easy Action was a big step up. They were actually starting to learn how to play their instruments at that point. There's actually some really good songs on Easy Action. They're not quite there yet, but they're getting there, right? It's an album in transition. It's not great, but it's not horrible like the first one. And there's some really good songs on it, actually. Really good songs.
Yeah, so I wasn't, well, to be fair, PvP, I wasn't too far away from Alice. I mean, by the time, according to what I'm seeing here, by the time he did $1 Billion Babies in 1973, I was still 8 years old, but I knew of him, so I knew he was singing. And he, of course, he had 5 albums before that. So, yeah, I wasn't too late for him. I've been following him since 1973, so you know that's still pretty good. That's 52 years I've been following him, so you know I still
No,
got
nothing wrong with that at all. Mm.
yeah.
I'm just trying to find. Okay, I'm looking at the discography.
Well, I mean, okay, here's what I see. Yeah, Prettiest for You was the first album. Then
And
Easy Action.
it was,
Then
the first album was. I love it, but I only love it because I studied art surrealism, and
right.
that album is totally surreal. It's
Yeah.
really fucked up.
And then
It's
he's
fucked
got
up,
these-
but it's good.
yeah, and then he's got these two. One is called Killer. The other one is Love It to Death.
Oh shit!
And
Okay,
then-
you got to let me talk about these.
Okay.
By the way, David Briggs, thank you, Sci-Fi. David Briggs, the second album, was the producer on it, and he was finally starting to hammer the band into a little bit of shape because
Well-
they did songs like "Shoe Salesman." You know, they were finally starting to get their act together, where they could actually do a coherent song with a melody. You know. And so, yeah, this is actually a pretty good album. It's not a great album, but if you want to be a Alice Cooper purist like I am, you will listen to every fucking album, even if the early ones suck garbage. The first album is bizarre. I would actually recommend maybe getting stoned or something to listen to that first album. Like, not that I'm recommending that. No. But if you do choose to smoke a herb, I'm not against it. This album is actually pretty good. It's got a number of good songs, but it's not quite there. They have not got their shit together yet. And when they do get the next album is when they hit their stride. They hit their stride. If we can go to the next album, please.
Oh, by the way, PvP, I know you're a purist, so I'm going to ask you this. Do you know Vincent's middle name?
Oh God, you're putting me on the spot.
Well, purists should know this.
Don't know what the next album is. I'm just.
Well, I know his last name is Vincent Furnier.
Well, Furnier is spelled Furnier, and first name Vincent, but his middle name is Damon.
I did not. Okay, I'm an asshole. I didn't know that.
Vincent David Furnier. That is his full name. And I did make a mistake. I got the right letter, but he was discovered at 16 when he went to Cortez High School, and with his spiders, and he was discovered. Well, what I'm reading about it is he was discovered at 16 when he went to a Cortez High School. It was some sort of party thing that he was at, and that's where he was discovered. Was he was doing this party? Yeah.
Oh, you don't.
And that was in 1964. Yeah, it says here he went to participate in Cortez High School's annual Letterman's Talent Show. So he gathered the 4 fellow cross-country teammates to form the group for the show. Glenn Buxton, Dennis,
Dunaway,
yes, John Tatum, and John Spear. And they named themselves the Earwigs. And they dressed up in costumes and wigs to resemble the Beatles and performed several parodies of Beatles songs because, Vincent said the Beatles inspired him. So, yeah.
I gotta say, I never actually put that together. Thank you, Maggie. I knew they called themselves Earwigs before the Spiders.
The Spiders, right.
I never realized they were playing tribute to the Beatles. Because it's like, duh. I'm going to have to bang my head against the wall later because I'm a moron. But it's like, of course.
You're not a moron.
But it's like Beatles, Earwigs. That's the same shit, right? It's like, duh. I should have been smarter.
Well, okay. So what it says is in 1966, the Spiders graduated from Cortez High School, and after North High School football player Michael Bruce replaced John Tatum on rhythm guitar, the band released their second single, "Don't Blow Your Mind," an original composition which became a local #1 hit, backed by no price tag.
I'm gonna have to track down some. I'm trying to track down these early singles because I haven't heard them. But anyway, we have got to the third album now.
Right.
Love It to Death, and this, for me, in my ears, is the album that the Alice Cooper band finally found their chops, coalesced in one of the great bands in history, and they were like, "Fuck the world! We're coming out, world! Here's a great band, and we're gonna play our songs, whether you like it or not." Okay, is that too much? I'm sorry.
That's all right.
This is a great album, though.
Which one? Love It to Death or Killer?
Well, don't. We're not. I'm not even going to get to Killer yet.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're saying Love It to Death.
If you think I'm excited about Love It to Death,
no. I'm okay with Love It to Death.
Wait till I get to Killer. You might have to turn my mic off when I get to Killer.
Okay.
Because I love that album. Killer's great though.
Okay. Well, can I tell you about there's like 5 albums. I'm gonna say this real quick. And I'll just go in order the way that you put these albums out. Starting with $1 Billion Babies, great album. Wonderful songs, everything there. Muscle of Love, was okay. Welcome to My Nightmare, fabulous. 1975. I was 10. I was listening to it. I saw him on The Muppet Show, doing the song, everything. So it was fantastic. Alice Cooper Goes to Hell. My parents told me to avoid that one, but I didn't. I think I liked the album. But then Lace and Whiskey, I was like, okay. It was a little bit mellow. That was my opinion, though. That was my opinion of it.
I'm going to have a follow-up to this later.
Okay, well, you should.
I was not impressed by Alice's solo stuff in the 70s.
I really did like his stuff. I'm glad he got back with the band, but at the same time, I didn't mind his solo albums. So.
I was very disappointed.
Well,
but I will have your piece. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interfere, but I'm just throwing it in.
No, it's all good.
Good, bud. I got the next one ready to go, so don't worry about it.
Anyway, I think Love It to Death. Well, that was the album that turned the Alice Cooper group into a real band. Because right from the start, you got the first track, "Caught in a Dream." That's a great song. And then, of course, we move into their first hit single, "I'm 18 and I Know What I Want."
I'm 18 and I like it.
I like it. I mean, that's one of the great classic singles of the early 70s, is it not? Seriously?
Yeah.
And then they go into "Way to Go," which probably remember. And then "Black Juju."
Oh, man.
Another great song. And then side 2, "Is It My Body?" "Hello, Be My Name." Second. Ballad, right? Fry shit. I can't even.
What is that line in "I'm 18"? What is that line where he says, I hope I'm quoting it right. He says, I've got a young brain and an old man's heart, something like that.
That's probably an "I'm 18."
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah. Okay. I'm got a brain in an old man's heart, something like that.
Yeah, and an old man's heart. Yeah.
God, that's a good song.
Got a brain and an old man's heart.
That was the song that put them on the charts, and
took me 18 years to get this far. Yeah. That's
I think this is their first great album. And then
Yeah.
you got the last track, Sunrise. Oh, Sunrise. Oh, I mean, is that not fucking good shit or what? That is
Oh
good
man.
shit. So
Uh,
yeah, this is well, okay. I'm just looking. Okay, All Music gives it 4.5 stars. Encyclopedia Popular Music 4 out of 5. Even the fucking Rolling Stone record guys, which are usually fucking assholes that give nothing to nothing, they give it 4 out of 5. It's like holy shit. Okay, you got a good album with everybody just going fuck yeah, 4 to 5, 4 to 5, 4 to 5. Okay, I'll shut up. I love this album. This is a great album, and remember the original cover with Alice sticking his thumb out because they thought it was his penis, and then they censored it, and they pulled. Remember, they pulled all those copies. God, I wish I had one of those, but I don't. But fuck.
Oh, that's kind of like back in the 90s when there's a band that came out called Green Jello, and they had to change their name to Green Jelly because of a lawsuit from Jello.
Oh, Green Jello? Oh man.
Yeah, I actually had one of the CDs that had Green Jello printed on it before they got pulled from the shelves. I wish I still had that. That thing would be worth a fortune right now.
Man, that'd be worth something if you had that there, Jay.
Yeah, we're talking 40 30 some years ago. It's long gone, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you guys remember that group, from the Ferris Bueller's Day Off, that group Yellow. Yellow is how they spelled it.
Oh,
Yellow. Yeah. Do you remember that group? And there was that boom 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 that Yellow.
Yeah, they used it for a candy bar commercial.
Yeah. I actually at one time owned the cassette for that group. I don't know why. It was probably because I had seen the movie and wanted to get the soundtrack. I was really into soundtracks back then, but I don't.
Are you into Broadway soundtracks, Mikey?
No, not Broadway soundtracks.
You know, there's that cliche about guys into Broadway soundtracks, right?
Oh no, I liked musicals.
Yeah, I like musicals too. I was just making a bad joke. Hey, I just wanted to get us back on track because I'd like to finish the Alice Cooper early 70s disco.
Okay,
fuck.
But I don't think you want to. Sorry, damn it.
Discography. If I can get the fucking word out of my mouth.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to mention after the first 3 albums, they were obviously finding their voice, but they finally found it. Oh, somebody dropped out. Anyway.
Daniel probably did.
Okay. Well, I guess Daniel's not a big Alice Cooper fan, maybe. Anyway, the 4th album, Killer, is when the band really nailed it and hit their stride. Killer is a balls to the wall kind of album. There is no denying this album is fabulous from beginning to end. There is no bullshit with this album. It's like from Under My Wheels right through to the end when the prisoner is executed. This album is fucking 10 out of 10 hard fucking 70s early 70s rock and roll. I mean, this is almost heavy metal, some of this shit, right?
Yeah, by the way, on the Killer album, that snake is from Arizona. That's the Arizona Diamondback rattlesnake.
And that was Alice's personal snake back then. Because Alice had a snake and he loved a snake and he looked after his snake. And
isn't that weird how I knew that?
I love it. I love it. Love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew, Mikey, never not say I don't appreciate your input. I love it, man.
I love your input too, and yours too, Jay, man.
Any of
You
you
guys
guys,
are rocking.
any of you guys want to give your thoughts on Killer? Because I gotta say that's probably my favorite band of the Alice Cooper band albums. Because I think Killer is a masterpiece from beginning to end. I really do.
Yeah, I tend to think of it as a second masterpiece myself. Like I said, because my first personal favorite had to be Billion Dollar Babies. Because I love that album. I don't know why. I just loved it when I was 8 years old. And
That would be my second.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. That'd be your second. That'd be my first.
What about sci-fi?
I gotta be honest. I didn't. Okay, I was born in '76, so by the time I got around to listening to Alice Cooper, this School's Out.
Oh, School's Out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, School's Out. They're awesome. Yeah. Well,
which is the next one on the list, by the way.
Cool. Yeah, School's Out's between Killer and Billion. It's a very good album. Don't get me wrong. It's an excellent album. However, it has a lot. Have you ever you're aware of the movie? What is it? The fuck? Help me, Mikey. The movie with the jets.
Top Gun.
No. It's a 50s movie. Shit. I'm drawing a blank.
You mean West Side Story?
West Side Story. Thank you. Yeah, what was that? 1958 or something, Mikey?
Something like that. Yeah. That had a young Rita Moreno from Electric Company.
Oh, yeah. I almost
Dude,
wanted.
Rita Moreno was on the HBO series Oz with.
She was on that. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have banged her in 1958. But anyway, beside the point.
Are you kidding? I would have done the lady from Sesame Street.
Maria.
Yeah, Rita. Yeah.
Maria. Yeah.
Maria.
Yeah. I want to bang Maria. Oh, that's not the official lyrics. Okay, sorry. Wouldn't that be great if they did a music like that?
Damn it,
I would love it if they did an improper music lyric. Maria, I want to fuck you, Maria. That would be fucking hilarious. But I'm sorry. Anyway,
Daniel got sleepy. He had to go to bed.
Go to sleep.
All right.
Sleep was good. Anyway, I want to get back. Okay, I love School's Out. I think School's Out is amazing. It's one of my favorite albums, and it is good. But not a hashtag.
School's Out. Okay, I told you this before, PvP. School's Out is actually one of my favorite early songs from the band because
it's their iconic song.
Yeah, but because they used the same kids that the Pink Floyd album used for, The Wall, they used the same exact children to sing in the background for School's Out. And it was Roger Waters who actually gave Alice Cooper the permission and said, hey, dude, here, these kids are for hire. Just, use them for your song. And he did. So, it was a mutual sharing between, Waters and Cooper. So, yeah.
No, that makes no sense. Okay, yeah. School's Out was 1972. Am I not deranged? Roger Waters, you're talking would have been the Wall.
Yeah, June of 72.
When did the Wall come out?
Wall came out before that.
No, it fucking didn't.
I don't think it did.
I think it did because
no. Well, Mikey, you're usually spot on, but wow, you're way off. 1972 was when Pink Floyd did Dark Side of the Moon, buddy.
Pink Floyd, The Wall, full album, 1979.
Yeah, that was way later than this shit.
Yeah, but then why did they say that he was able to use the same children from the song?
I think because that's bullshit that you read somewhere.
Oh,
You read?
okay.
Do you believe everything you read on the internet, Mikey?
Seriously, Mikey,
not
seven,
everything.
if it's a 7-year separation, I wouldn't believe it, buddy.
Okay.
Anyway,
I keep hitting the wrong button.
uh,
That one. There we go.
anyway, I think
There's the one Mikey wants to talk to you about. $1 billion babies.
well, okay, I'm gonna go with billion. I love Schools Out a lot. I think Schools Out is a brilliant album, but I think Schools Out pays too much attention to that 50s mystical. When you're a jet all the way. From your first cigarette to your death dying day. There's too much of that shit on that album. I think Schools Out is a very good album, and of course, you've got the iconic da 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 Schools Out, fabulous. But
for summer.
Schools. I love it. I love it. But I would put Killer at number 1, and I put this album at number 2 because it's a masterpiece. Hey, don't forget, Alice Cooper got Donovan to sing on the title track.
Right.
And Donovan was a folkie. He was a 60s folkie.
Yeah.
And Alice got him to sing with him on the title track of a hard rock album. Like, is that not cool? Is that come on? That's cool, right? You got to admit that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sensing Mikey's pissed off.
I'm not mad. I'm just tired. It's like
I just love it.
It's
I just
2:30 in the
love it.
morning.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I'm fucked. I need to fucking sleep.
Yeah, you got work tomorrow, bud? Or today?
I work later in the morning, so I'm not too concerned. But yeah, I should probably crash.
I should try to get some sleep so when she wakes up, she could wake me up so I can take care of her. So.
Okay, I'm gonna.
It's been fun, guys. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, it's been a lot of fun, definitely.
Definitely.
I'm just trying to. All I'm trying to figure out is when is when the kids were used. They must have been used first by him then, before they were used on the Wall album. That's all
I'm sure they were. Kids grow up fast. I'm sure after
7 years is a long time. They're not going to keep the same voices for 7 years.
They're gonna have different kids.
Yeah.
They'll have different kids, Mikey.
Yeah. Well, I know there was a controversy about the song. I know that. Some schools were upset. Some radio stations, it says, are banned the song. And I did know that back then. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to know what's your honest opinion of that album.
Of that one or of $1 Billion Babies?
No, I'm talking about Pink Floyd.
Oh, Pink Floyd. I like Pink Floyd.
I love Pink Floyd. I love Dark Side. My favorite album is the one they followed up with the tribute to their fallen leader.
That's something with a bell in it in the title. Was that After the Wall? I don't know all their albums, but I know there's something.
There was the one, the Shine On You Crazy Diamond album. That's
okay. The Shine On, yeah, that's a good one.
I bought that album 2 days after it came out on vinyl because I was a big Floyd fan in the 70s.
Yeah. Did you know there's 3 versions of The Wall? There's 3 different parts of The Wall. There's the original Wall song. There's a part 2, and then towards the end of the album, there's a part 3. There's like 3 versions of the song.
How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat?
Well, that's more towards the second part.
You know, as much as I liked what they were doing with the Wall, I thought that was the point where Floyd was losing their shit. I really did.
You mean he lost it after the Wall?
No, I just thought the Wall they were starting to get weak at that point. I really do. I listened to the thing is, my cousin and I bought it the first week it came out. We threw it on our turntable. It was vinyl. We listened to all 4 sides. We loved it, of course, back in 1978 or whatever. But in hindsight, thinking decades later, I don't think it's that good. I think there's a lot of problems in it. If you guys please, if you want to rewatch for me, but I just lost a lot of interest in the Wall. I just don't think it's all that. I don't think it's as good as people say it is. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see here.
I thought after Wish You Were Here, well, I thought that was their masterpiece.
Well, after Wish You Were Here was Animals.
I didn't like Animals either. I thought it had good moments. I had moments that I liked it, but overall, I was disappointed.
And then after the Wall was the Final Cut.
Oh, Final Cut was more of a Waters album, was it not, than the band.
Yeah. So what do you think of? Because the ones I'm familiar with are Dark Side of the Moon, and The Wall, and Wish You Were Here.
I've got all their albums listed in order. The first one was Piper. Oh, bless you, baby.
I'm sorry. I should have muted, but
you're
I have a sudden seizing fit. I will mute now. Thank you. Damn it. Sorry.
Usually I'm the one with the sneezy fits. The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, Saucer Full of Secrets, More, Uma Guma, Adam Hart Mother, Metal, Obscured by Clouds, The Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, Animals, The Wall, The Final Cut, Momentary Lapse of Reason,
right,
the Division Bell, and The Endless River.
That's the one I was thinking of. Thank you. The Division Bell, great album. Love that album.
Let's see, what year was that?
Because I was able to hear that one. Actually,
that
Division
came out
Bell
in 94. Yeah, 94.
Yeah, I was able to hear that because they played. Okay, what happened is back in the early 90s when I was listening to some of the alternative rock and, like Soundgarden and, and Nirvana and
Stone Temple Pilots. Back then.
Yeah, Stone Temple Pilots. That's when Pink Floyd put out that album, The Division Bell, and during that time. And I was listening to some of the songs from that album was on the alternative rock station KZON. They called it The Zone, 101.5, The Zone, and that was in Arizona at the time I was living there. So, yeah. So I started listening to some of the Division Bell, and I said, "Oh yeah, this is the same guys that did, Wish You Were Here, Momentary Lapse of Reason, some of those ones that you mentioned, and Dark Side of the Moon, which were all great albums." So yeah. Division Bell, thank you. Yeah,
and
that would have drove me nuts. That would have drove me nuts if I remember that album.
Their last album, Endless River, came out in 2014.
Yeah, I know. They hadn't done anything since then, right? Except
No,
the greatest albums.
Yeah, not since then. So, You figure 67 to 2014. That is a long run.
Yeah,
I mean,
that-
almost everything was from the mid 60s. And then they had a couple. They had one in '83, or to the mid 60s to late 70s. They had one in '83, one in '87, and then they had Division Bell in '94, and their last one was in 2014. So.
Yeah, very cool.
But they were riding that rock and roll / heavy metal storm, when it was at its peak. So
Okay, this may sound stupid, and I'm probably stupid in this way, but who was damn it, who was the other one that sang along with Roger? I can always remember Roger. I could never remember the other artists.
don't ask me to think of their names. That's
Hey, PvP, do you remember who sang with Waters in Pink Floyd? PvP.
well, I can look up band members.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Because I know I'm going to hate myself.
If it didn't mind me, it's unmute. It's not allowing me to unmute. Wasn't Roger Waters and David Gilmour the two singers?
David Gilmour, that's it. Yes, thank you. I can never. By
the way, those guys hate each other's fucking guts.
Yeah, David Gilmour, Roger Waters, Sid Barrett, Richard Wright.
Sid Barrett. Yeah, Sid Barrett died, man. Like early.
The sad thing was,
he died in '68. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, he died early. Yeah, a lot of people remember
the sad part with Sid, he was the leader of Pink Floyd the first couple years, right?
Right.
And then Sid decided, okay, I can't be smart enough to write great songs. I'll take a lot of drugs and fucking destroy my fucking mind, which is exactly what the bastard did.
That sounds like the Doors. I'm drunk, I'm nobody. I'm drunk, I'm famous. I'm drunk, I'm fucking dead.
Jim Morrison was.
Yeah, but the thing is, but the thing is with it was really technically, if you look back on it, it was really the keyboardist Manzarek that actually started the band. They just happened to luck out with Jim Morrison coming around, and then you had Robbie Krieger, who was such a great. I consider him one of the best guitarists, in around that period. And he was underrated. Most people thought he was a terrible guitarist. I never thought so. I always thought Robbie was great, but I really liked Ray Manzarek, the way he played.
Who the fuck thought he was a terrible guitarist? I never heard that one.
No, I heard it from some friends at school, and I said,
no.
You're full of school.
You know what? Fuck.
But Robbie Krieger was great.
I would tell you, fuck your friends. Fuck your friends. burn their house. It's like some of those. It's like Highlander. Fuck your friends. I'll burn your house down. I'll rape your women. Go fuck yourself.
Wow. Okay, folks. I think we better wrap this up for the
day. I think we better shut down.
Remember, everybody, it's a rough world out there. Let's take care of each other. We'll see you next time.